The imperial text in the dim expanse of the world, the cultivators from the sacred lands fled across the earth like headless flies, each seeking their own escape. Several colossal ancient beast kings advanced slowly. With each step they took, thousands of cultivators perished. Fear, panic, and despair permeated the atmosphere. The roars of beasts reverberated, shaking mountains and rivers. The brilliance of countless stars dimmed beneath the overwhelming aura of the wilderness. At the entrance of the Demon Mountain, several saint sovereigns stood high in the sky, surrounded by divine light, their presence radiating unparalleled majesty. Friend, is our intent still not clear enough? Forbidden entities have emerged from the ancient mine. If you do not lend your aid, we shall all perish. Alternatively, you may relinquish that extraordinary treasure capable of breaking the barriers, and we shall act. What say you? As they conversed, one saint sovereign had already summoned their life-bound artifact. Hovering before them, poised for action, the white-clad man before them was an unpredictable variable. Perhaps he could indeed lead them to safety. A smile graced Ji-Xian's lips. He understood their intentions all too well. Why should I assist you? You brought this calamity upon yourselves by entering the ancient mine. Did you not weigh the consequences? His tone was calm, his demeanor indifferent, inciting a tumult of frustration among the saint sovereigns. Such audacity. Did he not grasp the gravity of the situation? Look at the approaching ancient beast kings. Did he think he could withstand them? As they spoke, the Dark Lord released a surge of violet demonic energy, his sword radiating a chilling intent to kill. Together, the primordial saint sovereign bellowed, unleashing a purple-golden banner that charged forth. The other leaders followed suit, converging for an assault. Despite the enigmatic aura emanating from this individual, they had no choice but to gamble. A moment too late, and all shall perish. The ancient kings from behind relentlessly pursued them, imposing an overwhelming sense of mortality. Before them, the entrance stood as their sole beacon of hope. Kill. In an instant, the demon lord of the abyss unsheathed his sword with remarkable swiftness. The blade illuminated the heavens, transforming into a magnificent eagle descending upon its prey. An endless black wind surged forth, slapping against Ji-Xian's face. Ah, commendable courage. Yet, his combat prowess remained at a mere 5. A smile played upon Ji-Xian's lips as he stood with hands clasped behind his back, showing no intention of defending himself. Arrogance. The supreme sage of Yuanshu let out a piercing howl, his banner growing ever more resplendent, seemingly enveloping the very cosmos. The sound of the sword's resonance drew ever closer, the chilling light of the blade tainting the blood-soaked earth with a pallid hue. The disciples behind cried out in unison, "Seniors, vanquish him. The hopes of our sect rest solely upon your shoulders." The disciples, lacking in strength and having endured numerous rounds of death's harvest, yearned only for survival. At this moment, they placed their entire hope in the hands of their leaders. Boom! A deafening explosion reverberated, sending forth a terrifying wave of energy. The gray barrier trembled for the first time. Hope surged anew. The disciples cheered joyously, having forgotten the encroaching ancient kings. Yet, when the dust settled, their expressions turned to stone. A curved energy shield stood resolutely before the white-clad figure, shattering the weapons of all the leaders in an instant. A vast surge of holy power erupted from the remnants of the shattered holy artifacts. Only then did the crowd awaken to the reality. The barrier had quaked due to the detonation of the sacred weapons. The white-clad figure remained steadfast, motionless, gazing intently at the frozen supreme sages before him. Why had he not been harmed? Our leaders could not even guide us to safety. The inky strands of his hair danced without wind, and the cacophony of battle seemed to hush in that moment. Die! A male voice echoed in everyone's ears. The sound, though faint, was vivid, as if someone were whispering directly into their ears. Crack! In the next instant, the monochromatic world around them seemed to suffer a violent blow, shattering abruptly like glass. The once vibrant realm re-emerged, still bearing the visage of an apocalyptic landscape. The disciples regained their senses and hastily turned their gazes to the heart of the battlefield. There, a golden character for death loomed in the void, towering like a small mountain, emanating an unparalleled imperial might. A gentle breeze swept through, and the bodies of the elders from the sacred lands disintegrated into countless particles, scattering with the wind. The distant disciples stood in stunned silence, their minds filled entirely with that golden character. Their leader had indeed been defeated. Overwhelmed by the pressure and fearing the gruesome fate at the hands of the ancient kings, some resorted to self-termination, their faces contorted in agony. Boom! Heads soared into the air, and blood once again stained the earth. Ji-Xian observed the vanishing figures before him and nodded slightly. The effect was rather satisfactory. After experiencing the imperial decree of the Ji family, he was profoundly moved and had begun to inscribe his own imperial text. Meanwhile, the ancient kings in the distance seemed to sense something. They abruptly halted and turned their gaze towards Ji-Xian. "Xiong'er, have you noticed anything?" The magic bat, hovering midair, inquired. Beside him, a massive black bear, its mouth stuffed with the corpses of human cultivators, continued to chew incessantly. Damn, waking up to this feast. The magic bat spat, then turned to the griffin beside him. "Royal Griffin, what about you?" The griffin, with its keen gaze, continued to flap its white wings. "Indeed. I can sense it. Someone is inscribing imperial text, it replied. The magic bat observed the figure clad in white approaching slowly, its expression grave and filled with trepidation. I never expected the G family would send an emperor to judge us right from the outset, especially since the ancient demon emperors have yet to emerge. The royal griffin blinked its eagle-like eyes and shook its head. He is not an emperor of the G family. How can this be? The magic bat's lips curled in surprise. Aside from the rulers of the ancient celestial court from bygone eras, who else would dare to meddle in the primordial forbidden zone? Our kind possesses innate eagle eyes, allowing us to perceive the innate aura, the griffin explained. This person's imperial might is exceedingly peculiar. It is unlike any path I have encountered. Moreover, it is not the spatial path of the G family, but rather something transcending all pathways. The griffin's eyes began to fill with blood vessels, trembling at the mere sight of this individual's imperial force. Transcending all pathways? How is this possible? Has the celestial realm truly emerged in this era? Upon hearing this, the magic bat was greatly astonished. The royal griffin shook its head, choosing not to elaborate further. Suddenly, its expression shifted with alarm. The griffin's eye burst open, transforming into a pool of blood and gore, as a mysterious force began to spread from the corner of its eye, threatening to consume its entire head. Royal Griffin. The unforeseen turn of events sent shockwaves through the magic bat's mind. Could it be that he has made his move? It attempted to turn its head toward that direction, only to be halted by the griffin's urgent command. Magic bat, flee with the other kings. He is not a person who attained enlightenment through conventional means. The griffin decisively tore out its own eye to halt the insidious force's spread, as it seemed to pose a significant threat to their ancient clans. Quickly, return and report to the Demon Emperor. There is a great anomaly in the celestial realm. The timing of our emergence is boom. Before it could finish, its head erupted violently. In the next moment, a resounding divine sound reverberated across the heavens and the earth. Shall I grant you a swift death, or would you prefer to divulge the ancient mind's great secret before meeting your end? Chapter 147. News of the ancient kings at the periphery of the ancient mind. A palpable aura of death permeated the air, as ominous black smoke shrouded the sky. The chilling winds stirred, striking fear into the hearts of those present. The ground was littered with the putrid remnants of flesh and ominous bones, while the colorful treasures of heaven and earth lay stained with blood. Within a mere few hours, the death toll had already reached hundreds of thousands and continued to rise. The magic bat hovered in the air, paralyzed with fear, gazing at the figure of the diminutive human clad in white before him, his heart racing uncontrollably. Great One, what is your command? Ji Xian, standing upon a cloud, appeared like a celestial being descended to the mortal realm. He spoke up, discussed the internal upheaval. As newly awakened ancient beings, do not pretend to be unaware of such matters. Several ancient kings exchanged glances, none daring to utter a word. Their minds were ensnared by the prohibitions left by the ancient emperor. Any mention of clandestine issues would result in immediate self-destruction. Yet, the current situation seemed even more terrifying than death itself. Humph, where has the majesty of the ancient kings gone? Why have you so readily succumbed to a mere human? A deep voice resonated from behind. It belonged to an ancient demon bear, colossal in stature, every step it took causing the ground to tremble. It wiped the blood from its lips and let out a contented belch. The flesh of humans is truly delectable. This king desires more. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian's eyes turned icy, waves of murderous intent emanating from him, sending a chill through the heart of the demon bat. You fool, bear too. The demon bat quickly moved forward, covering the bear's mouth, fearful that this imbecile would utter another word. To their astonishment, the demon bear forcefully broke free from the bat's grasp and, standing before the coffin, exclaimed, "What did the demon emperor instruct us? To restrain the human forces beneath the imperial level, and this is how you execute it?" The other ancient kings fell silent, having slumbered for 1,000,000 years, wondering how this one could still be so foolish. Did it not sense the overwhelming imperial might? Yet, upon witnessing the bear's bulging belly, the kings arrived at their conclusion. In the blink of an eye, the demon bear spotted the corpse of the royal griffin and expressed surprise. Oh, how did this old bird meet its end? It approached, tearing off one of the griffin's wings and bringing it to its nose. Goodness, what a foul stench, inedible. Suddenly, it felt a strand of energy locking onto it. Looking in that direction, it saw a figure in white, a human standing in the air, coldly observing it. Human, was it you who did this? The demon bear's eyes narrowed in fury, its teeth grinding with a sound akin to cracking bones. It stepped toward Ji Xian, raising its massive paw to strike. The paw descended like a meteor, howling through the air. Sun Huang and Ao Tian felt the forceful wind rushing towards them, their hair standing on end. This ancient race is truly formidable. Die, you despicable human vermin. The bear's paw came crashing down upon the group. With a resounding thud, the collision between Ji Xian and the bear's paw sent ripples of energy outward, warping the surrounding void. Yet, in the next moment, the bear's expression shifted. It felt no splatter of blood and flesh beneath its paw, but rather an immense force counteracting its strike. You blocked it. Human, you possess some skill. It was worth noting that Bear 2's physique was comparable to an extreme weapon. What Why can't I retract my arm? The demon bear tried to pull back its limb, but was horrified to find itself unable to break free. At that moment, a languid voice emanated from beneath the bear's paw. This paw's flesh is quite well preserved. Aotian, prepare to stoke the fire. Understood, my lord. Ji Xian, merely grasping a tuft of fur from the bear's palm, had successfully subdued it. Ah, release this king. Let go of me. The demon bear stomped its feet, continually retreating, crushing small mountains beneath its weight. In the blink of an eye, the mountains crumbled, the vegetation shattered, and countless beings met their demise. A flash of sword light cut through the air, blood splattering everywhere. The demonic bear suddenly broke free, sliding across the ground for thousands of miles. It had escaped. Panting heavily, it gazed nervously at Ji Xian. This human was remarkably strong. Wait, why does his hand resemble mine so closely? The bear tilted its head in confusion, observing the claw in Ji Xian's grasp. Could it be that he is not human, but rather of the bear clan like myself? The more it looked, the more familiar that claw seemed. Just then, a searing pain shot through its wrist. Lowering its gaze, it was horrified to see blood gushing from its severed wrist. It dawned upon the bear that it was indeed its own hand. The ancient kings exclaimed, "What is a foolish teammate? This is it. Aotian, catch." Without a moment's thought, Ji Xian hurled the bear's claw backward. Such a large paw will surely last for ages. Aotian's mouth watered as he instinctively reached out to catch the paw plummeting like a small mountain. Watch out, you fool. Sun Huowang's expression changed drastically as he shouted at Aotian. Oh no. With that, before Aotian could react, it was too late. The claw descended rapidly, and upon striking the ground, it sank deeply into the earth due to its immense weight. Aotian was also inadvertently buried beneath it, instantly losing consciousness. Damn it, your intelligence is even worse than that of the bear. You dare to catch something comparable to an extreme weapon with your bare hands. Sun Huowang glowed crimson, transforming into a 1,000-foot-tall demonic ape, and began to dig through the earth to rescue Aotian. Ji Xian, standing at the forefront, felt a twinge of regret. He had underestimated the situation. After all, not everyone was like him. Human, you took my hand. Without it, how will I guide from now on? The demonic bear unfurled its meaty wings, stirring up fierce whirlwinds as it charged forward. Stay? Ji Xian stood firm with his hands clasped behind his back, intoning a resplendent golden character that pressed forward. The imperial text shone brilliantly, dazzling like the stars, exuding an overwhelming might as it advanced. Imperial text. The demonic bear was struck with fear. Demon bat, why didn't you tell me sooner? The demon bat rolled its eyes, wishing it could have warned him, but who had torn it apart in the first place? The bear held in agony, its body shattering under the weight of the imperial text, disintegrating into countless tiny particles that dispersed into the air. The ancient kings trembled in shock, huddling together in fear. This was the first time they had encountered the imperial text up close, aside from the edicts of the demon emperor from 1,000,000 years ago. It was utterly terrifying. Not even a trace remained. Without becoming an emperor, one is but an ant. Great one, please spare me. I confess. The demon bat truly felt fear. After being suppressed for 1,000,000 years by the Ji family's restrictions, it had just crawled out of the grave, barely having eaten, and was now confronted by such a harbinger of doom. Though there were restrictions in its mind, saying a little should not pose a problem, right? The demon bat licked its lips and spoke. When we first awakened, a group of humans clad in black robes approached us. They assert their ability to command the formidable power of calamity and refer to themselves as the Quantum Organization. In Chapter 148, titled Inside the Ancient Mind, Clues of the Solar Sacred Fire, Ji Xian waved his hand dismissively. The demon bat's jaw trembled, beads of sweat cascading down, saturating its fur. Just moments ago, upon uttering the term Quantum Organization, the white-clad human before him revealed a flicker of murderous intent, causing the temperature in the vicinity to plummet abruptly. The warm blood flowing upon the earth instantaneously crystallized into shards of ice, and many fleeing human cultivators were instantly transformed into statues of ice. The Quantum Organization has encountered us. They claim that formidable beings wish to collaborate with our race. Subsequently, they spoke of the impending calamity, asserting that no one across the 9 heavens and 10 earths could remain unscathed. The Ming Mountain and the primordial Forbidden Zone both possess a portion of the power associated with this calamity. United, they could certainly seize the grand momentum. The demon bat responded. Thus, do you acquiesce to his request? Ji Xian's voice was as chilling as iron. Another ancient king hastily interjected. My lord, we lack the authority. The demon emperor has yet to emerge. We are merely errand runners. It is only after the emergence of the various emperors that we may report to the palace. Ji Xian nodded, a cunning plan forming in his mind. This time differential could serve to ensnare the Ming Mountain splendidly. What is the current state within the depths of the ancient mind? The demon bat replied. It is far more chaotic inside than outside. The various sacred lands and great teachings are embroiled in conflict. Even several quasi-imperial weapons have been shattered. We are merely guardians on the periphery. There are too many people, and we cannot manage it all. The entrance to the ancient mind has at least a few hundred, if not 1,000. Ji Xian nodded again, inquiring, where is your demon emperor buried? A collective gasp escaped the kings, exchanging glances. My lord, that cannot be disclosed. Upon awakening, we were teleported near the site of the Heavenly Emperor's palace. Any route back has been blocked. Ji Xian discerned their reticence, but did not intend to employ forceful means to invade their minds. The ancient clans must possess formidable restrictions within their consciousness. Breaking through would merely result in a futile bloodbath. Very well, there is no need for you to report this matter regarding the quantum organization to the Demon Emperor, Ji Xian declared, clapping his hands and brushing off the bear for clinging to him. The demon bat's expression changed, as if suspecting something. My lord, do you mean for me to personally speak with them? As for you, you shall perish. Ji Xian brandished the sword of celestial slaying, striking forth. Apart from the bear paw, these creatures held no allure for him. My lord, the ancient kings beheld the oncoming black sword light, retreating in desperation, striving to evade this lethal blade. Yet, the might of the imperial weapon is unparalleled. Who could dare to withstand its edge? Alas, we are unwilling. I have yet to savor a morsel of warm flesh. They lamented. In an instant, the forms of the ancient kings were engulfed by the sword light. Ji Xian's divine resonance marking the toll of their demise. The black light obliterated this realm, sweeping away thousands of miles of mountains with a single strike. The next moment, Ji Xian unearthed the unconscious Ao Tian and the mud-covered Sun Hua Wang from the depths of the earth, leading them towards the innermost recesses of the ancient mine. Within the depths of the ancient mine, an elder clad in a black and white Taoist robe hovered in midair, casually unleashing a strike capable of annihilating vast landscapes. Bring death to me. The elixir of immortality is a prize the Yinyang sacred land must claim. The primordial creatures ravaging the earth could not survive a mere breath under his command. The ancestor is magnificent. The disciples of the Yinyang sacred land cheered loudly from the rear. The elder stroked his beard, brimming with vitality, and said with a smile, the Ji family has voluntarily opened this region, presenting a tremendous opportunity for our Yinyang sacred land. If we acquire that tree-shaped immortal herb, we can replenish the lost vitality of our sacred land. With this thought, the elder's eyes reddened. The Ji family had suffered the loss of more than a dozen core high-ranking members, resulting in a significant depletion of the core combat strength within the Yinyang sacred land. Millennia of accumulated foundation had been reduced to ashes. He was determined to unearth the culprit and shred him to pieces. Humanity, perish. Suddenly, a three-headed divine hound emerged from the void, brandishing its claws with a terrifying majesty. It opened its gaping maw and inhaled sharply towards the human cultivators engaged in battle. A towering vortex arose, its infinite suction collapsing the ground within a radius of several thousand miles. In an instant, it seemed as if the very stars in the sky were being torn from their places, and countless human cultivators were swallowed whole by the three-headed hound in the blink of an eye. Ha ha ha, human cultivators are but this feeble. With such mediocrity, they dare to invade my primordial forbidden zone, truly overestimating their capabilities. The three-headed hound, its fangs stained with blood, laughed boisterously, its voice echoing for miles. Countless weak cultivators burrowed underground, striving to avoid this demon king. What a wretched beast left over from ancient times. Do you dare to flaunt your power here? The Yinyang ancestor bellowed sternly. Old fool, your flesh is withered, yet you still dare to pose before me? This king has no interest in your aged meat. The three-headed hound king licked its lips disdainfully. Seeking death, the Yinyang ancestor brandished a two-pronged divine sword, the aura of Yin and Yang swirling around it. The sword's spine resembled a living dragon, exhaling divine energy, radiating holy light that was utterly imposing. Imperial weapon. The three-headed hound king's arrogant demeanor vanished in an instant, replaced by sheer terror as it sensed the power of the two-pronged divine sword. Perish, wretched beast. The Yinyang ancestor formed seals with his hands and swung the divine sword. You have not yet ascended to the imperial realm. I do not believe you can unleash the full might of an imperial weapon. With a long howl, the three-headed hound king charged forward. In an instant, the skies above erupted with thunderous explosions as the two formidable beings clashed fiercely. Radiant beams of seven-colored light sporadically shot from the clouds, and countless star remnants plummeted from the heavens. A chilling scream pierced the air. Soon, the massive corpse of the three-headed hound king fell from the clouds, crashing into the mountains below and raising clouds of dust. Its breath extinguished, it lay utterly lifeless. Foolish child, daring to contend with my imperial weapon, truly lacking in self-awareness. The Yinyang ancestor stepped forward, his 5 fingers outstretched, unleashing 5 streams of dark divine light that intertwined to form a shadowy cage, reclaiming the body of the three-headed hound king. The corporeal form of an ancient royal lineage could contend with extreme-level weapons. If properly refined, it could become a powerful holy weapon. In the next moment, the Yinyang ancestor cast his gaze towards the distant immortal herb. There stood 2 magnificent Fusang divine trees, their interconnected canopies sprawling across a vast expanse of 10,000 miles. From a distance, the Fusang divine trees appeared akin to verdant mountains, stretching across the horizon. If only the 2 golden crows perched atop the trees could be vanquished, the elixir of immortality would be within reach. The Yinyang ancestor's gaze burned with intensity as he soared towards that realm. The cultivators engaged in battle ahead hastily retreated, none daring to confront the Enyang ancestor wielding imperial weapons. Humph! The Enyang ancestor scoffed, assured of their lack of courage. Who dares? The golden crows atop the canopy suddenly opened their eyes, igniting the ground around them in an instant. Like blazing suns, their wings unfurled, radiating an aura of terrifying heat. I shall end your life. Without uttering another word, the Enyang ancestor struck with resolve. Thus, the three ascended into the heavens, engaging in fierce combat. On a mountain peak tens of thousands of miles away, Ji Xian gazed at the emerald Fusang trees, lost in thought. The Fusang divine tree? Could there be ancient golden crows residing within? If so, one might inscribe an ancient treasure technique. Perhaps one could obtain the final ember of the five elements imperial fire, the sacred fire of the sun. Chapter 149. The Flames of Annihilation, Thoughts Beyond Transcendence Within the Ancient Mind. The sounds of slaughter and roars echoed incessantly. Precious spiritual herbs and remnants of powerful artifacts littered the ground, as countless cultivators from various sects fought fiercely, their bloodshed unceasing. The clash of weapons and the collision of magical artifacts resonated throughout the realm, with numerous cultivators perishing with each passing breath. At this moment, the depths of the ancient mine had indeed transformed into a blood-soaked wasteland, as the demonic bat had foretold. Ji Xian strolled upon the scorched earth, each step blossoming with ethereal grace. Within a radius of 10 zhang around him, an uncanny stillness prevailed, as if the surrounding carnage could not reach him. Kill! In the void, a robust man charged forward, bloodied and adorned with 3 divine halos, brandishing a blade aimed at Ji Xian. The white blade, stained crimson, reflected the man's frenzied state, influenced by the mind's mysterious domain. Annihilate. Ji Xian regarded the incoming blade with tranquility, parting his lips to release a golden light that morphed into the character for annihilation. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of violent friction echoed as the golden character advanced a mere few zhang, collapsing the mountain beneath him. In an instant, a torrent of rocks and soil crumbled. A small hill of 1,000 zhang cascading forward, sweeping away countless trees in its wake. The man found his feet ensnared in the earth, stumbling into a pile of rubble. As he struggled to rise, he beheld a character looming before him, resembling a mountain. The imperial might surged forth, resounding through the heavens. In an instant, the man was obliterated by the white light, his body disintegrating inch by inch, and the sacred weapon in his grasp shattered alongside him. Yet, the golden imperial character did not cease its advance. It surged directly towards the Fusang divine trees. Rumbling. The cultivators and ancient beings engaged in battle sensed the impending danger, hastily retreating to make way for the unstoppable golden character. Those who were greedy for treasure or slow to react were reduced to mere fragments. Is that an imperial character? An elderly powerful figure stood upon a distant mountain peak, gazing in awe at the formidable golden character and could not suppress a cry of astonishment. This venerable ancestor of a grand sect, possessing remarkable prowess in the great sage realm, has existed for an astonishing 200,000 years, truly a living fossil. A nearby cultivator inquired, Elder, what is the essence of the imperial script? The elder sighed, the last manifestation of an emperor's might occurred eons ago, and given your youth, it is understandable that you have not witnessed it. The imperial script is inscribed by true emperors. Each character possesses the power to annihilate vast expanses of existence, and the edicts of emperors are articulated through this script. The young cultivators gasped in astonishment, their gazes drawn to the heart of the battlefield, trembling as they asked, does this battlefield harbor an emperor? The elder shook his head, that remains uncertain. Should an emperor emerge, this primordial forbidden zone would hold no place for us cultivators. It may merely be an imprint of the emperor's edicts. Yet, even so, it is beyond our capacity to contend with. Do not venture near that domain. The young disciples withdrew their focus, nodding in solemn agreement, and thus they retreated from the contention for this precious land. Meanwhile, Ji Xian approached the divine tree of Fusang. He gazed upward at the towering tree that obscured the sun, brilliance shimmering in his eyes. Master, this is Sun Huang, he remarked as the latter tentatively prodded the stout trunk with a stick. The immortal tree, the Fusang tree, Ji Xian replied. An ancient saying proclaims, on the Soup Valley stands Fusang, bathed by 10 suns, located north of the Black-Toothed. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment, a cacophony of clashes erupted from above the clouds. Within the dense, heavy clouds, lightning illuminated the sky, revealing the faint silhouettes of 2 golden crows, entwined with blazing flames. Engaged in battle with a human cultivator, Ji Xian observed the figure of the human cultivator, sensing something, and a barely perceptible smile graced his lips. He turned to his companions and declared, let us ascend the tree for a better view. The Fusang divine tree reached heights rivaling the heavens. From its crown, the combatants below appeared as mere ants. Sun Huang stood upon a thick branch, gazing over the vast mountains and plains, his heart filled with awe. It has truly transformed into a sea of blood. In another corner, Ao Tian plunged headlong into a nest woven from foliage. After much commotion, he emerged, holding a bird egg nearly a yard in length and width. Young master, I have found an egg. Ji Xian, standing by the main trunk and observing the flames flickering above, murmured to himself. This Fusang Divine Tree is not the maternal root. Legends say the Fusang Divine Tree serves as a gateway connecting the celestial realm, the mortal realm, and the underworld, yet Ji Xian felt no such aura. Nevertheless, these two Fusang trees had attained the status of immortal herbs. Merely scraping a touch of powder from their bark could forge a precious pill of enlightenment. With these thoughts, Ji Xian's mind began to form conjectures regarding the lineage of the two golden crows. Regaining his focus, he made his way towards Ao Tian. Young master, look at this egg. Ao Tian exclaimed, drooling with anticipation. Ji Xian's eyes sparkled as he surveyed the mystical patterns on the surface of the golden crow's egg, his brows slightly furrowing. Indeed, as I had anticipated, the bloodline of this golden crow is impure, possessing not the authentic sacred fire of the sun. If that is the case, certain aspirations of mine shall remain unfulfilled. It seems I must find a disciple to send forth. Lingyun, you, Ji Xian instinctively began to speak. Yet, in the next moment, he realized that Lingyun had not yet ascended. You, Huang, come here. Ji Xian beckoned to Sun Huang. What is it, master? Sun Huang replied, present and attentive. Ji Xian forcibly seized the egg from Ao Tian, and under the gaze filled with tears, he handed the egg to Sun Huang. This egg is for you. Do not consume it. Nurture it carefully. Sun Huang, with a face full of astonishment, received the golden crow egg. How could one with such a fiery temperament possibly incubate an egg? What was master thinking? Ji Xian perceived his confusion and spoke. If you do not wish to rear it, you may preserve it for now, and later pass it on to other senior brothers. Sun Huang furrowed his brows, further perplexed. What did it mean to hand it over to other senior brothers? Yet, unable to defy the master's command, he accepted it nonetheless. Achoo! In a corner of the Xiantian realm, a man clad in mourning attire sneezed, only to burst into tears again. Beep. Host has received a golden crow egg X1, triggering a return probability of 2 million times. Acquired the seed of the extinguishing flame X1. In the next moment, a black seed of fire appeared within the system S space. This seed, named Extinction, floated silently, yet profoundly. Should not the gift of a sentient being also be returned as such? Does it not merit a complete golden crow egg? Ji Xian retorted. What? Host, do you wish to name it? Or has the maternal instinct taken hold? Ji Xian cast a glance at the weeping Ao Tian, whose tears and drool had formed a puddle on the ground. He twitched his mouth, dismissing the inquiry. Integrate the 5 elemental fire seeds. But host, you only possess 4 fire seeds. Ji Xian had anticipated this. Extract a wisp of my imperial might and refine all 4 fire seeds into it, thus forging an intangible 5th seed from the 4 tangible ones. In such a manner, my imperial might shall transform into the 5th seed, allowing me to transcend the realms through the path of fire. By the heavens, your understanding is remarkable. Commencing fusion. In the next instant, a fierce firestorm erupted within Ji Xian's wheel C. The 5 seeds, red, blue, purple, and black, intertwined, painting the vast golden sky in vibrant hues. The golden figure seated within Ji Xian's wheel C opened its eyes and soared skyward, entangling with the 4 fire seeds. Boom. The figure transformed into a mass of golden flames, beginning the fusion with the remaining 4 seeds. This process persisted for several hours without pause. Ji Xian remained unhurried, comprehending that this was a lengthy endeavor. Meanwhile, above the clouds, cough. The ancestor of Yin and Yang spat a mouthful of black blood, forcefully repelled 1,000 miles away. You two wretched beasts, wait until I recover from my injuries, and I shall battle you once more. The 2 golden crows, 1 male and 1 female, spat in the direction the elder had fled. What a worthless creature, even at the level of the emperor. He cannot muster even a fraction of the might of an imperial weapon. Such a waste. Husband, shall we pursue? The female golden crow inquired. No longer pursuing. I have just sensed the approach of intruders near our nest. Let us return and investigate. The male golden crow gazed down at the lush canopy below, his expression grave. The female golden crow nestled in his embrace, her voice sweetly chiming. Ah, who are these oblivious human wretches? We shall eradicate them soon enough. Yet, my dear husband, a mere clutch of eggs is hardly sufficient for our kind's propagation. Do make sure to feed them well tonight. Chapter 150. Who has placed so many eggs in my nest? Within the ancient mine, the struggle continued unabated. The relentless conflict had persisted for days, leaving devastation in its wake, as countless beings perished in the bloodshed. Yet, amidst this turmoil, wisps of smoke wafted from the sacred Fusang tree, accompanied by the rich aroma of roasted meat. My lord, your cooking is truly exquisite, Ao Tian exclaimed, gazing at the shredded bear paw sizzling on the grill. His emerald eyes wide with desire, his attire already dampened by anticipation. Ji Xian sat cross-legged before the grill, skillfully sprinkling various seasonings. As he channeled his innate power, a bottle filled with sauce materialized in his palm, which he then liberally applied. My lord, what does Lao Gan Ma mean? Ao Tian inquired. His gaze fixed upon the bold characters on the bottle, puzzled. Ji Xian paused, uncertain how to clarify. It seemed an explanation would elude him. Swish, swish. Sun Huang emerged from the shade, a bundle of firewood in his arms, gesturing toward the nest. Master, there are still several eggs in the nest. Oh, why not raise them all? Ji Xian raised an eyebrow. Before Sun Huang could respond, the system interjected, strongly protest. Host restriction error. Never mind, let Ao Tian have them. He has been craving them. Boom. Buzz. Before Ji Xian could finish his sentence, 2 gusts of wind swept through the sky. Caw. Followed by a sharp avian cry. Bold thieves, vacate our nest at once. A male and female golden crow descended with fierce determination, transforming into twin suns as they spread their wings and dove downwards. Ji Xian turned his gaze, his brows furrowing slightly, feeling a twinge of annoyance. It was rare to be interrupted with such a fierce tone. The female golden crow landed first on a sturdy branch, surveying the scene with a condescending glare. Her beak trembled with rage, her eyes brimming with murderous intent. This sacred Fusang tree belongs to us. You had best vacate immediately. Lowly, despicable humans, if you do not relinquish my offspring, I shall take your lives. Ji Xian and his companions exchanged glances. Crack. Sizzle, sizzle. The rich aroma of eggs wafted through the air. The male golden crow, still airborne, was seized by fury at the sight before him. His eyes widened in outrage, a scorching white mist erupting from his feathers, causing the surrounding temperature to soar. Witnessing their nonchalance and disregard for their ancient lineage, the male golden crow yearned to incinerate them all. Yet in the next moment, he was struck by a bizarre spectacle. All the fire-related energies in the air surged toward the figure clad in white, including those emanating from within himself. Die. The mother golden crow's eyes gleamed crimson as it unfurled its wings and gently flapped them. My lady, wait. The male golden crow cried out, diving towards the tree trunk below, intent on stopping her. There was something peculiar about this man. However, it was too late. In a flurry, thousands of fiery feathers shot forth like arrows aimed at Ji Xian and his companions. With a clatter, Ji Xian set down the roasted meat in his hand and thrust forward with great force. An immense fiery hand, stretching 1,000 feet wide, materialized in an instant, accompanied by billowing black smoke, and it struck towards the mother golden crow. Boom, boom, boom. All the incoming fiery feathers were instantly reduced to ash. Before the fiery hand could reach its target, the mother golden crow's feathers had begun to ignite. How is this possible? I am a creature that masters the fire path. The mother golden crow was struck with terror, hastily shielding its chest with its wings. My lady, flee. The male golden crow shouted as he dove downwards. That fiery imprint made him feel the weight of the great Tao pressing upon him. Boom. In the next moment, the mother golden crow was engulfed by the colossal imprint, obliterated utterly, leaving not a single feather behind. Subsequently, the male golden crow sensed the murderous gaze of the figure clad in white. With a swift movement, he retracted his wings, executing an emergency halt in midair. Ultimately, his 3 claws were mere inches from the tree trunk. He quickly altered his course, attempting to escape. Not so fast. Did I permit your departure? Ji Xian's resonant voice echoed, causing the male golden crow to tremble. My lord, how may I serve you? He inquired. Quaking. Your lady just mentioned that this Fusang divine tree belongs exclusively to the 2 of you. How do you respond to that? Ji Xian queried coldly. My great lord, she was merely jesting. The chilling aura of impending doom intensified, prompting the male golden crow to hastily amend his statement. No, she is not my lady. I do not know her. I am unfamiliar with this Fusang divine tree. I merely passed by. Ji Xian chuckled, picking up a fallen eggshell nearby. Then how do you explain all these golden crow eggs? I sensed your primal essence emanating from them. The male golden crow immediately fell into a state of panic. Who placed all these eggs in our nest? Do you concede that this is indeed your nest? Ji Xian's tone sharpened. The male golden crow was struck with dread, silently cursing his misfortune. He transformed into human form, donning a black robe, and approached Ji Xian, trembling as he knelt before him. My lord, only 2 golden crows remain in the primordial forbidden zone. We merely seek to propagate our lineage. My lady and I have been sealed for 1,000,000 years, and we have suffered greatly from our desires. Upon uttering this, he broke into tears. All the eggs that have emerged are right here. I have not touched a single one. My lord, I beseech you, spare my life. I only wish to seek another mother golden crow. I swear to mend my ways and refrain from slaughtering the beings within the ancient mines. Why did you not consider these matters when you exuded murderous intent towards me? Ji Xian replied. In this era of great contention, lacking strength is a sin. You shall perish. With that, Ji Xian beheaded him with a single strike of his sword, extinguishing his life. Thereafter, Ji Xian leisurely consumed food and drink while merging with the imperial fire within the wheel of the sea. Time flowed swiftly, and in the blink of an eye, 6 months had passed. During this period, numerous cultivators lingered at the edge of the Fusang divine tree. Having lost the protection of the golden crow, the barriers surrounding the Fusang divine tree vanished, allowing the cultivators to approach. Initially, several groups of cultivators attempted to sever the Fusang divine tree for their own gain. However, the outcome was grim. None survived. This news stirred many powerful cultivators, who formed teams to investigate, hoping to provoke the presence atop the Fusang divine tree. Yet, On that day, the understanding of the cultivators was once again shattered. Dozens of great saints unleashed their might, employing a couple of extreme quasi-emperor artifacts, only to be obliterated by a descending golden character, which even reduced the quasi-emperor artifacts to mere fragments. Some cultivators recognized it as the imperial script and abandoned their aggressive intentions. From that moment on, new entrants to the ancient mine took detours, none daring to disturb the tranquility of that presence. This region fell into silence, and all hostilities among cultivators ceased. No one dared to disrupt the peace of that existence. Time flowed once more, and half a year passed. One night, the stillness was shattered. The core of the ancient mine erupted in blinding brilliance, revealing a magnificent golden palace. It hovered in the celestial dome, standing shoulder to shoulder with the sun and moon, while the myriad stars dimmed in its presence, as if it were the sole source of light in the world. Above the Fusang tree, two divine jade discs, one black and the other white, spiraled in the air. As if sensing something, the two ritual stones surged toward the golden palace, filled with a restless energy. Ji Xian opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, he drew them back into his palm. He cast his gaze upon the golden palace, his eyes glimmering with brilliance. At last, I have found you, Imperial Altar. Chapter 151. The Palace of the Heavenly Emperor. The golden ancient palace towered among the clouds, its divine light illuminating the world, tinting the heavens and earth in a golden hue. Morning rain kissed the dawn, enveloping the vast mountains in a mist of clouds, while the breath of the great Tao flowed, and an ethereal aura permeated the atmosphere. Countless rare spiritual herbs stood in the mountain valleys, absorbing the essence of the sun and moon, painting a scene of tranquility. Yet, beneath this serene facade lay the undercurrents and ominous killing intent among the various sacred lands. Within a certain cave, an elder in a black robe sat cross-legged on a mat, pondering profound laws. Suddenly, the stone chamber door creaked open, and a young disciple entered. Kneeling in reverence, "Master, the palace of the Heavenly Emperor has emerged." "Very well, let us depart." The elder opened his eyes, the aura of yin and yang dissipating, revealing an unfathomable depth. Beside him, a black and white 2E divine sword floated, exuding the might of the imperial Tao. "Are your injuries fully healed?" the disciple inquired. "Not a concern, I am fully recovered." "Prepare the chariot," the elder replied. "Yes." Meanwhile, a golden ancient war chariot thundered across the cloud tops, rumbling with the sound of roaring thunder. "Young master, the palace lies ahead," Aotian remarked, tugging at the reins. Ji Xian lifted the curtain of the chariot, standing at the front, gazing into the distance. "The palace of the Heavenly Emperor," he murmured, admiring the plaque upon the palace. Simultaneously, chariots and divine carriages continued to flash across the realm, their numbers exceeding 10,000, each occupied by renowned sovereigns of their respective territories. Boom! 500 miles ahead, the air resonated with thunderous explosions, followed closely by blinding flashes of light. The mountains trembled as two figures were sent hurtling through the air. They were ancient sovereigns of a bygone dynasty, locked in a fierce battle over an elixir that had ripened over 80 millennia. With a battle cry, they ascended into the clouds, resuming their fierce conflict. Thunder roared, echoing through the heavens, as the shockwaves from their clash flattened numerous towering peaks. Moments later, a head with gray-white hair fell from the sky, blood splattering across the mountainside. The onlooking cultivators were left in shock. A venerable sovereign, who had survived for tens of thousands of years, had perished with a single strike. Such scenes unfolded simultaneously across various regions. Even before the contest for the treasures of the Celestial Emperor's palace commenced, this brutal conflict erupted. It was rumored that outsiders had also entered the fray, and it was unlikely that many would emerge alive. The cultivators sighed in recognition of the arduous journey ahead, yet none wavered in their resolve. Venturing into the primordial forbidden zone was inherently fraught with peril and opportunity. If one could attain the legacy of the ancient Celestial Emperor, every sacrifice would be worthwhile. Several hours later, a multitude of heroes gathered before the Celestial Emperor's palace, gazing up in awe at the towering edifice that seemed to touch the heavens. The gilded platform before the palace was adorned with an array of rare treasures, including 4 or 5 formidable quasi-imperial weapons lying in display. The cultivators from various sects were eager to seize the chosen artifacts, and an atmosphere of impending conflict permeated the air. Amidst the treasures was a quasi-imperial weapon imbued with the essence of dragons. A prince clad in a dragon robe stepped forward, aiming for a dragon-patterned broadsword. Reaching out to grasp its hilt, just as his fingers were about to make contact, an unusual sound erupted from behind. A long iron whip, extending over 10 feet, lashed out, creating a cacophony as it sliced through the air. The prince had no time to evade, and was struck brutally, his body exploding upon impact. With a battle cry, the cultivators surged forward like kindling ignited by flame, a fierce clash imminent. Clad in white, Ji Xian waved his hand, retracting an ancient war chariot, and commanded the two individuals behind him to follow. In an instant, tens of thousands of cultivators surged towards the gilded platform, striving to ascend. However, after climbing several hundred steps, some were drenched in sweat, their legs trembling, unable to proceed further. Others soon realized they faced a similar predicament. I understand now. Ascending the gilded platform is linked to one's innate talent. Higher talent facilitates easier ascent, exclaimed a cultivator in astonishment. At this moment, the majority were stalled on the several hundred step, unable to advance. Those with moderate talent continued to climb steadily, while those at the bottom could only gaze despairingly at the imperial palace before them. Having risked their lives to delve into the ancient mine, enduring countless perils, they found themselves halted by a barrier of talent. Frustration surged. What is that up there? Is that even human? A voice cried out, pointing in indignation towards the uppermost reaches. The crowd of cultivators looked up to see a figure clad in white, effortlessly leaping dozens of steps at a time, moving with remarkable agility upon the otherwise treacherous imperial platform, leaving behind a series of afterimages in his wake. Behind him, two streams of light, one golden and one crimson, followed at a leisurely pace. How could he move so swiftly? A cultivator stomped his foot in frustration, seething with rage. No. Everyone else is performing adequately. What is this white-clad figure's secret? Has he been secretly gaining an advantage? With only 1,000 steps remaining to reach the summit, he must be stopped. He cannot be allowed to enter the imperial palace. A cultivator immediately summoned his weapon and launched an attack. Sensing something amiss, Sun Huolong turned and swung his staff, shattering the artifact into pieces. Are you seeking death? He bared his fangs and shouted furiously. A disciple of the Yinyang sacred land felt a chill upon seeing that face, his teeth clenching in anger. He was all too familiar with this troublesome monkey. Had it not been for the injuries he sustained from the aftermath of their battle, forcing him to return to the sect early, he might have perished at the hands of the Ji family. Ancestor, that's the one who suppressed the core figures of our sect. The disciple pointed at Ji Xian and his companions, addressing the Yinyang ancestor beside him. Oh, the Yinyang ancestor furrowed his brows, his breath growing heavy. The loss of high-ranking members of the Yinyang sacred land at the hands of the Ji family was indeed due to these individuals. He summoned the 2E divine sword from the void, and without hesitation, he slashed forward. A dark arc of sword energy flew forth, and wherever it passed, all life was extinguished, leaving behind rifts in the fabric of space. Thousands of cultivators were caught off guard, instantly turned to fragments. The overwhelming imperial might eclipsed all combatants' auras, illuminating the realm. This is an imperial artifact. The cultivators engaged in battle froze in place, unable to channel even a fraction of their sacred power. They gazed in astonishment at the direction from which the imperial artifact had emerged. Heaven help us. The Yinyang sacred land has summoned an imperial artifact. How shall we proceed? Retreat. Do not engage. The cultivators unleashed talismans, even sacrificing portions of their own cultivation to break free from the shackles and evade the might of the imperial artifact. Ji Xian, who was on the verge of reaching the summit, suddenly sensed something and halted. Faced with the oncoming dark sword energy, he merely traced a gentle line in the air, effortlessly neutralizing it. Then, the divine imprint of the Sword King within his wheel of fate erupted with radiant light, and a towering sword shadow emerged behind his white-clad figure. The sword shadow rose to the heavens, exuding an unparalleled sword intent. In an instant, every sword and weapon present resonated in harmony, as if paying homage to the magnificent sword shadow. The 2E divine sword in the Yinyang ancestor's hand stirred restlessly, attempting to break free and fly towards the sword shadow. What is happening to you? The Yinyang ancestor's expression turned grave. The imperial artifact possesses a spirit and desires to break free. This is an old friend he had refined for tens of thousands of years. How could it suddenly buzz? The 2E divine sword ultimately broke free from him, soaring toward Ji Xian. The sudden turn of events left everyone stunned. What is the imperial artifact doing? Is it going to personally eliminate this individual? Someone gasped. No, it seems to me like the 2E divine sword transformed into a stream of black and white light. Flying before the white-clad figure, Ji Xian reached out to grasp it, gently wiping it clean. Indeed, it is a fine sword. The twin instruments of divine swords seemed to have heard his call, quivering gently in joyful response. Below, the ancestor of Yin and Yang stood in stunned silence, unable to articulate his shock. The imperial weapon he had accompanied for tens of thousands of years had so brazenly betrayed him. The atmosphere was thick with silence. Chapter 152. The guardian deity of the ancient immortal court before the heavenly emperor's palace. An eerie stillness pervaded the air. Ji Xian stood atop a high stage, gazing down at the multitude of cultivators below, his expression as tranquil as still water. In this moment, the ancestor of Yin and Yang secretly summoned the twin instruments of divine swords, yet received no reply. A pang of anguish struck him. The sensation was akin to that of a beloved wife, nurtured over millennia, suddenly running off with another. Should I call her back? The ancestor pondered. After all, such imperial weapons were exceedingly rare, and possessing one in a secret realm amounted to having the world as your enemy. No one wished to bear such a ticking time bomb. But the instant their gazes clashed, he cast aside this thought. Within Ji Xian's tranquil eyes lay an imperceptible, yet formidable aura that commanded respect and instilled a sense of dread. The ancestor felt as though he was peering into an abyss of unfathomable depth. Despite being a quasi-emperor, He could not help but feel a twinge of trepidation. Perhaps I should let it go. No, but it is an imperial weapon. The ancestor grappled intensely with his inner turmoil. Just as he vacillated, uncertain of his decision, a youthful voice rang out beside him. How audacious, rogue cultivator. What are your intentions? Hurry and return our treasured artifact. The ancestor of Yin and Yang flinched, mechanically turning his gaze towards the source of the voice, utterly bewildered by the audacity of this impudent youth. The disciple pointed forward, his face flushed with rage, hair bristling in indignation. If you dare to continue your arrogance, beware that our ancestor will suppress you. And you, monkey, you have slain our holy son. Our ancestor will ensure you meet a most gruesome fate. The ancestor's mouth gaped in disbelief. Ah, no. Ancestor, do not hesitate. You often speak of our sect's founder, the great Emperor Kunping. We need not fear anyone. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian furrowed his brow and shifted his gaze back to the ancestor of Yin and Yang. Do you know that great Emperor Kunping? He recalled the ancient figure from the boundless divine sea. And no, it was merely a stroke of luck to have obtained a fragment of his mark, the ancestor stammered. Ji Xian stroked his chin, nodding lightly. I see. In that case, I have no further concerns. Perish. With a casual flick of his sword, a magnificent sword light of black and white erupted forth. The overwhelming imperial might surged forward, crashing down like a collapsing mountain. In that instant, the ancestor of Yin and Yang found his vision consumed by the swirling black and white, all scenery fading into oblivion. And no, esteemed one, wait, I still have something to The aged form was instantly engulfed by the tide of black and white sword energy, leaving not a trace behind. The sword light did not cease. Instead, it surged straight towards the mountains. Moments later, the earth split apart, revealing a chasm thousands of feet deep, within which the sword intents of life and death intertwined, resembling a forbidden domain. As the dust settled, a black and white mark appeared within Ji Xian's line of sight. This is not dissipated, Ji Xian mused, reaching out to retrieve the mark. Through this emblem, Ji Xian perceived the entwined forms of Kun and Peng. The two circled around the dragon's spine of the yin-yang diagram, seemingly capable of giving rise to all phenomena. Very well, once I return to the sect, I shall venture into the uncertain divine sea for a better acquaintance. He stowed away the emblem and cast his gaze upon the crowd below, coldly inquiring, is there anyone else who dares to obstruct me? The gathered cultivators were seized by fear, hastily retreating, none daring to step forth to test their fate. Observing their reaction, Ji Xian turned and pushed open the grand doors of the Celestial Emperor's palace, addressing the two individuals beside him. Let us enter the Hunyuan Celestial Mirror. Ao Tian and Sun Huang nodded in understanding, recognizing Ji Xian's intent to attend to serious matters, and obediently made their way inside. As Ji Xian's figure vanished within the imperial palace, a tumult erupted among the crowd. He had entered the Celestial Emperor's palace. How could it be so effortlessly achieved? What manner of being is he? I refuse to accept this. I have yet to prove my worth. The celestial legacy of the ancient immortal court lies tantalizingly close, yet remains beyond reach. No one could swallow such indignation. This cannot stand. I must see for myself. A young saint rose to voice his determination. Following closely behind him were over a dozen heirs of great sects, all prodigious talents of the present age. An elderly mighty figure promptly grasped the saint's arm, urging, perhaps it is best to reconsider. Only one may inherit the legacy of the Celestial Emperor's palace, as has been the custom since ancient times. Once he enters, our chance will be lost. Why is this the case? It is utterly unjust. The saint glared, his chest heaving with indignation. For in any era, there can only be one Celestial Emperor, akin to the legendary Xianyuan Emperor from millions of years past, and the Sword Emperor from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Stand down. Do not proceed further, the elder admonished, shaking his head. The saint simmered with resentment, feeling deeply aggrieved. Just then, a cry of alarm rippled through the forefront of the crowd. The aspiring talents, just about to advance, found their path obstructed by a towering silhouette. It was a translucent deity, towering several hundred feet high, clad in armor that concealed all but its piercing eyes. The guardian deity of the immortal court. The elder exclaimed in astonishment. Suddenly, a realization dawned upon him, and he shouted, fall back quickly. But it was too late. Those who dared intrude upon the Celestial Emperor's palace would face death. The guardian deity swung its war axe, unleashing an overwhelming imperial might that descended like a mountain. A chorus of screams erupted from the golden platform as numerous prodigious figures were annihilated in a single stroke. The remaining thousands of cultivators fled in terror, scrambling to escape the onslaught. The legacy of the ancient immortal court was steeped in antiquity, and the guardian deities possessed unparalleled strength. No one would be foolish enough to challenge them. Boom. Just then, the sound of thunderous chariots echoed from the rear of the crowd. Reinforcements from other powerful sects arrived, all with designs on the Celestial Emperor's legacy. Why are you retreating? What has transpired within the Celestial Emperor's palace? A knight riding a strange beast approached a fleeing cultivator, demanding answers. The cultivator skidded to a halt, exclaiming, someone has already entered the Celestial Emperor's palace, and the guardian deity has begun to clear the area. Do not advance any further, Flee. What? The knight's expression shifted dramatically. They journeyed from beyond the 3,000 states, traversing an unfathomable distance. After enduring countless hardships to arrive here, they discovered that the Celestial Emperor's palace had already been claimed by another. The knight, consumed by fury, let his crimson tresses dance wildly. Are you of the ancient Jiang clan? The cultivator had recognized the attire and the fluttering banner that adorned him. The ancient Jiang clan, once the second in command of the ancient celestial court, subordinate only to the Ji clan, had now risen in prominence as the Ji clan waned. Their influence in the 9 heavens and 10 earths nearly equal. Indeed. Pray tell, what transpired? What did that individual look like? The knight seized the cultivator by the collar, demanding answers with a fierce tone. I know nothing beyond this. My lord, please allow me to depart. The cultivator pleaded. Let him go. An elderly voice emanated from the carriage behind. As you wish. Moments later, several other formidable factions arrived. Apart from the Tardy Ji clan, there were representatives from the Sword Pavilion, the Dao One Sacred Land, and the Beidou Celestial Sect among others. However, upon witnessing the formidable deities standing guard, they all sighed in resignation. Under the pressure of numerous divine beings, the high-ranking officials made a decisive choice to retreat 3,000 miles. Master, are we truly to withdraw like this? Inquired a young cultivator from a sacred land, addressing his elder beside him. How could that be? Who does not covet the legacy of the ancient celestial emperor? We shall withdraw for now. Once that individual emerges, I refuse to believe that the great sects cannot contend with him. Within the celestial emperor's palace, Ji Xian activated his divine vision, his eyes radiating a spectrum of colors, illuminating all around him. Chapter 153. Fortune, Prosperity, Longevity, and Joy. Inside the celestial emperor's palace, darkness enveloped everything. The vast hall was devoid of sound. Rustling, 2 flames, one red and one purple, floated beside Ji Xian, casting light upon the surroundings. The hall was unfathomably deep, stretching into the void. Gazing around, he could only see numerous massive dragon pillars standing tall, connecting the ground to the palace's apex. After traversing a distance of 2 to 3 miles, Ji Xian finally beheld other sights. Before him lay 2 rows of golden dragon chariots, forged from the exceptionally rare extreme Dao Sacred Gold. The dragon corpses at the forefront raised their heads in a harmonious roar, as if heralding the arrival of some significant presence. Despite the serpentine dragons having long since perished, their bodies remained remarkably well preserved. All were crafted from extreme Dao Sacred Gold, a true extravagance in this world. Ji Xian nodded in affirmation, recognizing the significance of the extreme Dao Sacred Gold as a primary material for forging imperial weapons. Viewed in this light, the display was indeed impressive. Stepping onto the crimson carpet, he traversed the convoy, covering another 400 to 500 paces, where he encountered a series of weapon racks, imbued with the essence of the extreme Dao, flowing robustly. As the flames drew near, myriad divine lights surged forth, with the extreme Dao sacred weapons competing in splendor. An overwhelming imperial majesty crashing upon him like a tidal wave. With a flourish of his sleeve, Ji Xian dissipated the onslaught entirely. A cursory glance revealed approximately 351 items, among which 19 were imperial weapons, with the remainder classified as quasi-imperial. Should these treasures be exposed to the outside world, they would undoubtedly incite a fierce struggle among the cultivators of all the sacred sects, leading to chaos and upheaval across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, to Ji Xian, they seemed rather unremarkable. Yet, no one would ever decry an abundance of treasures. With a gentle flick of his sleeve, he collected all the weapons. Who would dare intrude upon the heavenly emperor's palace? Suddenly, a deep and resonant voice echoed from within the depths of the hall. Ji Xian gazed into the shadows, and amidst the haze, a towering figure began to materialize. He chuckled softly, pondering why his established inheritance bore the name of intrusion. Show yourself, if you dare. The figure's anger intensified, and he bellowed mightily. As his voice fell, a row of torches along the dragon pillars ignited instantly, illuminating the hall and dispelling the previous darkness. Only then did Ji Xian discern the scenery within. A throne, constructed from celestial crystals, floated at the far end of the hall, with a great seal behind it exuding 108 streams of imperial dragon energy, accompanied by the celestial bodies of stars, sun, and moon. In front of the throne, at a distance of several dozen paces, stood an imperial altar, ancient and majestic, imbued with the essence of primordial times. A broken sword, radiating celestial energy, was embedded into it. In that moment, Ji Xian seemed to peer through the annals of time, envisioning the ancient emperor seated upon it, wielding the divine sword and surveying the world. Suddenly, a colossal shadow appeared before the throne, cradling 7 stars in its grasp, exuding an ominous aura of death. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes and inquired, "Are you the one who just spoke?" The figure remained silent for a long moment, quietly observing Ji Xian as if seeking to see through him. Ji Xian activated his divine perception, and in an instant, the essence of his origin transformed into 2 particle beams that pierced through the shadow. "Oh, you lack a corporeal form. Are you the guardian deity of this imperial palace?" The shadow hesitated momentarily, then coughed, I did not expect you to discern my nature so swiftly. Truly, you are deserving of ascending the imperial throne. Very well. I shall grant you the opportunity to withdraw from this heavenly emperor's palace. Should you do so, I will spare your life and cease my pursuit. Ji Xian was taken aback. Was this entity merely a facade, inviting him in only to expel him in the end? Observing the 7 stars in the figure's hand, Ji Xian seemed to sense something. Showmanship and trickery. In this 9 heavens and 10 earths, where can I not go? Since I have entered here today, even the ancient heavenly emperor cannot drive me away. Ji Xian stepped forward, forming a sword seal in his hand. Impudent. The heavenly emperor must not be insulted. The shadow deity roared, manifesting a golden scepter in his hand. With a gentle tap, the entire heavenly emperor's palace began to tremble. The once stationary dragon pillars suddenly shifted in parallel, moving along a certain formation as their path. In the next moment, the entire palace was sealed. Roar. A series of thunderous beast roars reverberated, echoing like thunderclaps. The phantoms of ancient beasts such as the Swanee, divine hound, and celestial ape materialized, clawing and bearing their fangs in Ji Xian's direction. Even more astonishingly, above the ceiling, a vast sea of clouds emerged, with countless celestial soldiers and generals standing resolutely upon it. They brandished their weapons, the cold light flickering fiercely, and roared in unison. Kill. In an instant, the once tranquil hall erupted into chaos, the winds and clouds shifting rapidly. All manner of incongruous entities surged forth, both illusory and strikingly real. Faced with the torrent of lethal attacks, Ji Xian remained utterly composed, fixated on the scepter held by the shadowy figure. It seemed to summon the grand forces of the heavens and earth, delineating the anomalies of every temporal node across the vast universe. What if you wield the scepter of the celestial court? Is it not still an illusion? Having grasped the essence of the situation, Ji Xian swiftly devised a countermeasure. The solution was straightforward: launch an attack. Xiao, young master, I am here. A sword imbued with the essence of the celestial path materialized in Ji Xian's hand. Flame of Annihilation. Ji Xian unleashed the first form of the Heavenly Flame Codex. In the face of such a scale of assault, flames were often the most effective remedy. With a powerful swing, the winds surged and the flames ignited. The celestial soldiers and exotic beasts were instantaneously reduced to ashes. Even the dragon pillar shattered into fragments. Yet, in the next moment, those celestial beings reappeared, maintaining their previous stance of aggression. Ha ha ha! With this divine scepter in hand, I embody the might of the ancient celestial court. As long as this momentum endures, the celestial soldiers shall not perish. No matter how formidable you are, your fate cannot compare to the celestial court's might. Kikik. The shadow cackled arrogantly, his voice now sharp and piercing, a stark contrast to the previous deep and resonant tone. Ji Xian smiled lightly. Compare fate? With a thought. A towering divine silhouette manifested behind him. The deity slowly extended a golden hand, gently pressing forward. In an instant, the vividly alive ancient beings were obliterated, dissolving into ephemeral bubbles that vanished with the breeze. Even the supreme scepter in the shadow's grasp was shattered. The celestial scepter is broken? What is happening? A shrill cry echoed. Hey, 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 that line isn't in the script. Little Lu, you've spoken out of turn. A distinctly different voice chimed in. It's over, we're going to be exposed. It's all your fault, little Fu. Insisting on using the scepter when you could have just hidden away. Shut up, little show, how dare you blame me? Wah, that person is truly terrifying. Are we going to die? The sounds of argument and sighs filled the air. Ji Xian stood there, utterly bewildered. What was happening? He pressed forward with a mighty hand, shattering the black figure. Yet, in the next moment, the figure re-emerged. However, unlike before, it now swayed unsteadily, as if struggling to maintain its footing. Oh no, the order is wrong. Little Shi, you should be atop my head. No, it should be little Fu at the top, right? Crash. The shadow stumbled and fell directly onto the imperial platform, splitting into 4 diminutive figures. Ji Xian finally discerned the reality of the situation. Before him stood 4 small deities, each adorned with a green silk cap, clad in red official robes, and adorned with golden ingots, bells, and various trinkets. Ji Xian was taken aback, clearly caught off guard. What is this thing? It hardly reaches his calf. He inquired. Hey, little potato, what deity are you? The diminutive deity at the forefront rose and retorted. What little potato? You are the little potato. Your entire family is comprised of little potatoes. We are the deities personally conferred by the former heavenly emperor, known as the 4 heavenly kings, Fu, Lu, Shou, and Shi. Ji Xian stepped forward with determination, scrutinizing the group. Ah, so they are merely minor deities representing fortune, utterly devoid of any lethal prowess, yet adept at posturing. With that, he reached out, grasping the fragmented celestial sword. The 4 minor deities of Fu, Lu, Shou, and Shi were strung together. What do you think you are doing? One of them exclaimed in alarm. Ji Xian hurled the Xianyuan sword towards a dragon pillar 100 zhang away. Clang! The broken sword instantly embedded itself into the pillar, while the 4 minor deities were impaled upon it. He then stepped onto the imperial altar and calmly declared, proving the Tao. Chapter 154, Defying Heaven. Slashing through 10,000 paths, transcending tribulation to become emperor. Inside the grand hall, Ji Xian gently wiped away the dust from the imperial altar, embedding the sacrificial stone. Bathed in a radiant glow, he remained motionless in a meditative posture. Clad in a flowing white robe, smooth and unwrinkled, his handsome visage exuded an air of nobility, as if he were a flawless sculpture. The minor deities, pinned to the dragon pillar, stared at Ji Xian in bewilderment. What is he doing atop the imperial altar? Is he simply idle? Little Shou queried. Indeed, that altar was used for ancient imperial sacrifices. If he were to sit, he should occupy the throne above. Little Shi chimed in. At that moment, Little Fu, pressed against the pillar, extended his small hand and sharply tapped the two. Hey, you two fools. Have you lived for millions of years only to be this dim-witted? Can't you see he is absorbing the great forces of heaven and earth? Little Shou and Little Shi then broadened their gaze, surveying the surroundings. Sure enough, the majestic energies of mountains and rivers converging upon the heavenly emperor's palace were being transformed into countless minuscule particles by a mysterious force. The particles clustered tightly, gently swirling like a tranquil lake, gradually flowing towards Ji Xian. This process was lengthy and arduous. 6 months passed, yet Ji Xian remained seated, his eyes slightly closed and his expression serene. However, a faint golden radiance began to envelop his divine body, rendering him extraordinarily sacred and ethereal. Suddenly, thunderclouds amassed in the heavens, descending like heavy mountains. The entire realm darkened, with nary a glimmer of light visible aside from the resplendent heavenly emperor's palace. Clang! Despite it being spring, a chilling black wind began to blow. The cultivators stationed outside the mountain raised their heads, observing this bizarre spectacle. A knight from the Jiang family, with cascading red hair and a golden spear in hand, stood firm, his brow slightly furrowed. What is happening? Could it be that the ancient emperors are about to manifest? A frail voice echoed from the carriage behind. Jiang Wei, step back. A great terror approaches. Upon hearing this, Jiang Wei hurriedly retreated to the carriage's rear. Ancient ancestor. Do you mean that the one within the heavenly emperor's palace is about to transcend tribulation and become an emperor? We should keep our distance. Instruct the disciples of the Jiang family to retreat even further, to withdraw another 30,000 miles. Hiss! Jiang Wei gasped in astonishment. The first emperor of a millennium was about to be born, and it was occurring within the heavenly emperor palace. What could this signify? Do not inquire into matters that do not concern you. Be wary of becoming entangled in fate. Attend promptly to the task I have assigned, the elder replied. Though advanced in years, his voice resonated with the strength of an ancient pine. Jiang Wei nodded, refraining from further delay, and turned to approach the members of the Jiang family. Rumbling, rumbling. The sound of the Jiang family's retreating war chariots captured the attention of all present cultivators. Why is the Jiang family withdrawing? Are they forsaking this opportunity? One cultivator observed this scene with great confusion. Who knows? The actions of these ancient powers are notoriously enigmatic. It is best not to speculate recklessly, another cultivator replied. No, look, even the Dao One Holy Land and the Sword Pavilion are retreating. This remark piqued the curiosity of all the cultivators, who turned their gazes toward that direction. Indeed, all the prominent sects and esteemed teachings began to withdraw, no longer remaining stationed here. Master, what shall we do? We retreat, of course. When circumstances appear abnormal, something sinister is afoot. Let us follow their lead. Thus, all stationed forces retreated another 30,000 miles. Buzz. At that moment, the void trembled, and the vast imperial might envelop the entire expanse in an instant. A chasm 100 feet wide opened in the sky, from which emerged an elderly man clad in purple robes. His hair was as white as snow, and his countenance was pale and wrinkled, resembling a half-dead specter. An ancient, grand bell floated above the purple-robed elder's head, its mouth unfathomably deep, seemingly capable of devouring all. The cultivators, recognizing the imperial artifact, reacted immediately. Upon hearing this, thousands of fervent gazes turned toward the elder. Another imperial artifact has emerged. Which faction does it belong to? Indeed, the previous two-element divine sword had directly fallen into the hands of that man in white. Such a pity. Does anyone recognize this person? Just as the crowd pondered the identity of the purple-robed elder, the aged voice once more resonated from within the chariot of the Jiang family. Wuong, my friend. You have arrived. The purple-robed elder turned his gaze, slightly cupping his hands in greeting, surprised to see the Jiang family joining this commotion. Zhengyang, your health is well, I presume. Jiang Zhengyang replied. Thanks to you, I may yet sire a few more sons. Ha ha ha. As soon as these words were uttered, both powerful figures erupted into laughter. However, the atmosphere among the crowd suddenly turned cold. The cultivators stared blankly at the elder in the sky, their expressions filled with dread. Wuong. Could it be the legendary figure? Wuong the Emperor. A voice cried out in alarm. The others trembled inwardly. Indeed, it is he, the one who traversed the realms a million years ago. If this figure known as Wuong is an emperor, then the one referred to as Zhengyang is. The cultivator mechanically turned to look at the chariot. It is the Zhengyang Emperor of the Jiang family, another cultivator affirmed. As this news spread, from 1 to 10, and 10 to 100, within a moment, All the sacred lands present became aware of the arrival of the two emperors. For over 20,000 years, the great emperor has unexpectedly re-emerged. An elder from the Dao Holy Land wore a solemn expression, for this indicated that the current opportunity was beyond their reach. Is it true that Dao friend Wu Wang has come to reclaim the celestial court scepter? Jiang Xingyang inquired cautiously. Of course not, Ji Wu Wang replied nonchalantly. Heaven and earth are on the brink of chaos. No matter how powerful the forces may be, resurrection is impossible. My purpose here is solely to eliminate a certain individual. Oh, who could possibly warrant your personal intervention? Ji Wu Wang pointed towards the Heavenly Emperor Palace. This individual has slain many of my direct kin, and thus, I must take his life. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xingyang's expression shifted. Once that person emerges, he will undoubtedly have succeeded in proving his Dao. Are you not concerned about the repercussions from the Emperor's alliance for instigating a conflict of such magnitude? Ji Wu Wang simply smiled. It will only amount to reproach. Throughout my life, I have never felt the need to seek permission from others. Ji Wu Wang's assertiveness took Jiang Xingyang by surprise, revealing that the Ji family was secretly amassing strength to seize the momentum of heaven and earth. He fell silent, choosing not to speak further. Within the hall, the immense force within Ji Xian had reached a critical threshold. With a sudden jolt, he opened his eyes, and vibrant flames of 5 colors burst forth like a great dragon. Among the golden flames, a small figure resembling him emerged. The flames transformed into the essence of the 5 elements, swirling above Ji Xian's head, eager to merge with him. At that moment, the heavenly tribulation descended. Thunderous roars echoed as heavy clouds were violently torn apart by a violet spear. Bolts of tribulation lightning cascaded like torrential rain, instantly annihilating the mountains below, reducing them to mere plains. All living beings within the vicinity were obliterated in an instant. Countless spirits, birthed from the tribulation, stood amidst the clouds, brandishing their weapons as they surged downward. They were embodiments of the great Tao, representing the ancient paths of existence, uniting all lesser paths. Now was the moment. Ji Xian departed from the imperial altar, breaking through the palace's grand apex, and soared into the sky. He summoned his imperial might, charging forth with determination. Under the nurturing of the imperial flames, Ji Xian's might had matured to a significant degree, no longer transparent as before. In an instant, the small figure began to move autonomously. Its form no longer adhered to Ji Xian alone, but transformed in myriad ways. When confronting the spirits of the thunder path, it became a thunder spirit, vanquishing them. Against the spirits of the water path, it morphed into a water spirit, extinguishing them. This process repeated thousands of times without pause. During this interval, the divine shadow behind Ji Xian also manifested, pointing a finger at him and infusing a trace of destiny's power. Ji Xian stood resolutely in the air, commanding his imperial might to obliterate myriad paths, simultaneously strengthening himself. My goodness, these are spirits of the great Tao forged from tribulation. What manner of creature is this? Exclaimed the little Joy pinned to the pillar. The leader of the small fortune stood in stupor, his expression blank, utterly disbelieving the events unfolding before him. The heavenly emperor palace shone brilliantly, towering towards the heavens. Under the relentless barrage of thunder, the atmosphere trembled significantly. Oh my, have we incurred divine wrath? Brother, are we doomed? Little Shou whispered, tears brimming in his eyes. Stop being cowardly. We are manifestations of faith. As long as someone remembers us, we shall never perish. Little Fu rebuked vehemently. The imperial might in the sky had annihilated all the heroic spirits of the great paths, returning them to Ji Xian's being. In an instant, boundless celestial authority erupted within Ji Xian's Wheel Sea, causing him excruciating pain and convulsions. His white attire tore asunder, and a vortex suddenly formed just below his abdomen, a tempest drawing upon the essence of heaven and earth. This was precisely the location of the Wheel Sea. A reverse current surged through the void. The spiritual energy transformed into divine power, reaching a critical threshold. A muffled crack reverberated from within him, as if a certain layer of shackles had been shattered. Ji Xian's raven hair danced wildly in the air, his brows furrowed, his body moving with great vigor, resembling a sword drawn from its sheath. The first stage of the imperial realm, the realm of enlightenment, commence. Chapter 155, the 6 great imperial realms, the 99 heavenly tribulation. Above the heavens, dark clouds amassed, and silver lightning obliterated all in its path. The mountains below had long been raised, sinking several thousand fathoms to form a celestial pit, tens of thousands of miles away. Numerous cultivators appeared anxious and terrified. Merely a wave of heavenly tribulation had decimated vast expanses of land. It was utterly horrifying. In the celestial sphere, Ji Xian's white robe was in tatters, and he sat cross-legged in midair, bathed in surging violet lightning. Every inch of his skin was receiving the purifying embrace of the thunder, his muscles taut, his skin as flawless as that of an infant. In the realms of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the imperial realm is divided into the realm of enlightenment, the realm of Dharma manifestation, the supreme realm, the realm of 100 shackles, the mythical realm, and the ascension realm. This cultivation path ascends vertically, akin to an immortal road leading directly to the nine heavens, with each step being of utmost significance. Presently, Ji Xian found himself within the first realm. The so-called enlightenment pertains to the profound realization of the Great Path. For an ordinary cultivator, transcending this realm merely requires perfecting one's understanding of the path. However, for Ji Xian, this route is obstructed. His imperial might is exceedingly unique, having transcended the 9 heavens and 10 earths, imbued with a hint of celestial resonance, unbound by the heavenly laws. Therefore, the other great paths within Ji Xian must align with the imperial might, transcending the heavenly laws of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This endeavor is perilously arduous. Yet once successful, the resultant enhancement in combat prowess would be immeasurable. Currently, only a fire path had achieved a state of transcendence. The burden is heavy, and the road is long. Ji Xian sighed softly, continuing to bask in the tempest of thunder. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. The heavenly tribulation persisted, countless bolts of lightning forming a golden net that enveloped the realm, bombarding relentlessly without a moment's respite. The surface of the celestial pit had further sunk several thousand fathoms, and the surrounding areas had transformed into a desolate wasteland. Tens of thousands of miles away, the descendants of the Jiang family began to voice their grievances. Damn it, is it ever going to stop? Even if a true immortal appeared, they would surely be struck down. Indeed, what kind of tribulation is this? My tribulation at the Sage King realm lasted only 3 days. What kind of power does that fellow possess? In my opinion, we should simply charge in, especially with the ancestor present. We are merely here to make up the numbers. Upon hearing this, Jiang Wei's brows furrowed as he grasped his golden spear and strode forward. He admonished fiercely, "You little rascals, can't you exhibit a modicum of patience? Moreover, do not disturb the tranquility of the ancestor." A direct descendant, appearing no older than a teenager, stepped forward and remarked, "Uncle Wei, we are merely stating facts. Look, having endured the tribulation for half a year, that individual must possess exceptional strength. Your own great sage tribulation lasted but a month. It is possible that their power surpasses even yours." Before the young descendant could finish his statement, Jiang Wei seized him by the collar. With a swift motion, he yanked down the youth's trousers, revealing a pair of colorful undergarments, and without hesitation, delivered a resounding slap. "Ah, Uncle Wei, I was wrong. You are unparalleled in the world. You surpass even Tai Shun. Great-great-great-grandfather, save me." With Jiang Wei's formidable physique, several strikes left the young man's backside bloodied and bruised. "Enough. Jiang Wei," Jiang Xingyang interjected from the carriage. "This is indeed beyond your comprehension." Jiang Wei then ceased his assault, tossing the descendant aside. "Ancestor, what is happening? This tribulation has lasted far too long." Jiang Wei inquired. It is understandable that you do not grasp this. Allow me to elucidate," Jiang Xingyang chuckled. The other cultivators from various sects turned their attention to him, sharing the same perplexity. Why has the heavenly tribulation persisted for so long? "This is the multiple tribulations that a cultivator must endure to attain the status of emperor," Jiang Xingyang stated calmly. Upon hearing this, the atmosphere in the room momentarily froze before erupting into chaos. Someone is about to achieve emperor status. Good heavens, what are we even doing here? We could have returned to our warm homes with our wives and children. I knew it. I told you. My sect's supreme artifact was reduced to ashes with a single strike. A sect leader stomped his foot in frustration. "Quiet, please," Jiang Xingyang softly commanded. Instantly, the room fell silent. To ascend to the emperor realm, a saintly cultivator often must endure multiple heavenly tribulations, which is why those poised to become emperors are referred to as tribulation saints. Historically, great emperors face 3, 4, or even 9 tribulations, while exceptionally gifted individuals might provoke 6 or 9 tribulations. When I achieved my own path to enlightenment, I faced merely 4 tribulations. Although that ancient being beside me was on par with me. Ji Wuang shot Jiang Xingyang a glare upon hearing this. That individual has only recently passed through a dozen tribulations. They likely have another year before completion. Everyone should step back. At this, the faces of the other cultivators changed. And immediately, a sect proposed to withdraw from the forbidden zone, opting not to compete for the tribulation. Yet, some cultivators voiced their dissent, with an emperor present. "We might still hold our ground. Outside, no one is in control. It has turned into a bloodbath. Wouldn't going out be tantamount to seeking death?" This statement brought a sense of calm to all present, and the atmosphere grew heavy once more. High above, Ji Xian had endured over 30 waves of lightning tribulation, suffering hundreds of thousands of strikes, leaving him utterly numb. How much longer must this endure? "I am famished." Ji Xian reminisced about the bare paws from over 2 years ago. "For over 2 years, I have abstained from consuming any sustenance, not out of hunger, but simply due to an insatiable craving." The host possesses an exceptionally high aptitude and must endure the 6-9 tribulation. Currently, 38 tribulations remain. Could you expedite the process? My disciples are on the verge of ascension. I need to hasten their arrival. Impossible. Each must traverse their own tribulation. The system lacks both the desire and authority to intervene. Worthless. System detects that the host has insulted it. Hence, the 6-9 tribulation is now adjusted to the 9-9 tribulation. Ji Xian, did you not just claim you lack the authority to interfere? Boom. As the system's words echoed, the thunderous skies intensified. If the previous manifestation was akin to a net of lightning, now it resembled an impenetrable cauldron. Crack. The thunder grew ever more formidable, each surge akin to a long whip cracking against the heavens, cleaving the thunderclouds, creating a scene most terrifying. Ah, you bastard. Gurgle, gurgle. In an instant, Ji Xian was engulfed by a sea of golden lightning. The newly adjusted tribulation bore even greater might. His robust physique began to show numerous fissures. Yet he distinctly felt that with each trial of the 9-9 tribulation, both his spirit and body grew stronger. It was estimated that after enduring several 100,000 more trials, his strength would surely undergo a qualitative transformation. Ji Xian reassured himself. With this thought, he bore the excruciating pain and straightened his posture. The imprints of the great Tao within the wheel of fate automatically emerged, partaking in the tribulation's baptism. After all, the 9-9 tribulation is a rare occurrence. Thus, 2 more years passed. Below, the gathered cultivators had become as restless as ants on a hot pan. Having spent a full 2 to 3 years waiting here without acquiring a single treasure, they felt that even a desperate foray to the periphery could yield significant rewards. Hearing the complaints of the younger cultivators, Jiang Xingyang felt a twinge of embarrassment. He began to contemplate thoughtfully. Half a month passed, yielding no results. This was perplexing. He had traversed this path before and understood the patterns of tribulation. It could not possibly be the 9-9 tribulation for ascension, could it? Jiang Xingyang was at a loss, casually mentioning this as he prepared to resign to fate. Wait, that's not right. Hiss. Chapter 156. The hope of ascension. Contrary to everyone's expectations, the intensity of this thunderous tribulation escalated remarkably. The originally affected area of 60 to 70,000 miles continued to expand, and within 2 years, it had extended to a staggering 150,000 miles. All major sects were once again forced to retreat, feeling an overwhelming sense of frustration. Ji Wuwang gazed at the dark yellow heavens, his expression grave, sensing the anomaly. In a flash, he entered the carriage. Inside, a world of its own unfolded, a sky of crystal blue, faintly tinted mountains, babbling springs, and vast grasslands stretching endlessly. At the center, seated upon a stone, was an elderly man clad in white robes, his hair white, yet his face youthful, radiating a rosy glow. Ji Wuwang, adorned in purple, floated gracefully to a nearby peak and inquired, "What have you discerned?" Jiang Xingyang struggled to maintain a facade of composure. Yet the rising and falling of his chest betrayed his emotional turmoil. From the perspective of time and the frequency of lightning strikes, it is most likely the 9-9 heavenly tribulation. Of course, this is merely my conjecture. If he possesses a unique cultivation technique, extending the duration of the tribulation may not be impossible. However, Ji Wuwang waved his hand, dismissing any further possibilities. It is indeed the 9-9 heavenly tribulation. Jiang Xingyang raised his head, his expression grave as he said, "Are you certain? This is no trivial matter. I trust you understand the implications." Ji Wuwang nodded affirmatively. Without a trace of hesitation, "I have perused the ancient scrolls of our ancestor Xianyuan. The imagery described aligns perfectly with the 9-9 heavenly tribulation. He is an existence who ascended to immortality, one who has personally endured such a cataclysm. There can be no error." Boom. Jiang Xingyang's face flushed crimson, excitement bubbling within him as he struck his thigh. The mountains behind him crumbled instantaneously, countless stones tumbling into the abyss below. The path to immortality is within reach. Someone is actually transcending the heavenly tribulation at the imperial realm. Ha ha ha. He laughed heartily at the sky. Countless epochs have passed, and no true immortal has emerged from the realms of heaven and earth. Now, Jiang Xingyang, with the demeanor of an immortal, floated gracefully through the void, unable to conceal his elation. Ascending to immortality is the lifelong pursuit of every great emperor. Yet, over the course of countless ages, how many prodigies have perished on the path to immortality, reduced to mere dust? The sword emperor of Ur, invincible across the 9 heavens, ultimately fell, his life extinguished in the pursuit of immortality. Now, we, with our old bones, are witnessing this era. Who could not rejoice? To share this age with such a talent is indeed fortuitous. Jiang Xingyang calmed his thoughts and remarked again. Ji Wuwang nodded in agreement. He is indeed a prodigy of eternal caliber. If he can survive this ordeal, there may be a genuine possibility of attaining the status of an immortal. Upon hearing this, Jiang Xingyang's expression changed. At this point, you still wish to kill him? This is a seed of immortality. I have my reasons for needing to eliminate him. Why? What could possibly justify this? Do you intend to bury the path to immortality for this realm? What personal grudge could be more significant than achieving immortality? Jiang Xingyang's anger began to simmer. In his eyes, Ji Wuwang had become deranged. After a million years in the coffin, he had foolishly turned himself into an old fool. No, an old idiot. Huh, old fellow, there is no need to confuse me. This matter has escalated beyond personal vendettas. It now concerns the very survival of the Ji family. Ji Wuwang chuckled lightly. Oh, what kind of matter could obliterate an ancient family? Jiang Xingyang regained his composure, a hint of confusion clouding his thoughts. The ancient families possess profound foundations, enduring through numerous cataclysms without perishing. He had previously heard of the deeds performed by the man in white within the Ji family's holy city. Yet such actions, while a slight embarrassment for the colossal Ji family, could hardly be deemed catastrophic. What could possibly threaten their existence? Ji Wuwang replied, previously. This individual attended a feast at the Ji family, shattering the ZY holy city, thus bringing shame upon the Ji family. Moreover, he has allegedly incited the current family head and the saint's son to rebel. Such transgressions are unforgivable. If we allow him to continue unchecked, will he not take control of the Ji family himself? Upon hearing this, Jiang Xingyang raised an eyebrow slightly, his expression soon turning grave. Is this truly the case? Naturally. Had it not been for the protection of those other ancient beings, they would have likely been torn to shreds by my own hands. Ji Wuwang spoke with an unwavering countenance. Born into the Ji family, one must forever pledge allegiance to it. The current head of the family and the designated holy son daring to publicly oppose the emperor's decisions. How is this different from betrayal? The head of the family and the holy son can be replaced, but that cannot compare to the future of the entire realm. Jiang Xingyang remained steadfast in his stance. Ji Wuwang shook his head in response. You must understand that the great calamity is approaching. Everything in the world is hastening towards change. Numerous anomalies will emerge in the future, and there will surely be more than one with such qualifications and potential. Furthermore, Ji Wuwang hesitated at this juncture. Furthermore, what? My lifespan is limited. I must take action to eliminate him and pave the way for the Ji family's resurgence. Ji Wuwang's expression was resolute, as if he cast aside thoughts of mortality. Jiang Xingyang sighed. A living emperor is not to be feared. It is the dying emperor who is truly terrifying. For he will stop at nothing to fight fiercely against his adversaries, even resorting to self-detonation. A casual strike from an emperor can extinguish the sun and moon, let alone a self-explosion. Alas, that young man will most likely not survive this tribulation. Jiang Xingyang lamented. Ji Wuwang's actions in the name of the Ji family were beyond his interference. However, he could discern that Ji Wuwang was concealing something. Thus he did not fully believe the earlier statements. Combining this with the rumors circulating within the Ji family, Jiang Xingyang began to form vague suspicions, even recalling Ji Wuwang's past associations with the Ming Mountain. Nonetheless, all of this awaited verification. As an emperor, standing at the pinnacle of the realm, every consideration must be approached with caution. Subsequently, Jiang Xingyang made his final decision. My friend, this individual carries significant karmic ties. Striking him may bring about great misfortune. I shall refrain from wading into the murky waters of the imperial palace. Once the ancient race's emperor emerges, the Jiang family will withdraw, Jiang Xingyang declared. Ji Wuwang nodded, understanding the implications of Jiang Xingyang's words. Each person who has attained the imperial realm is a formidable presence, well aware of the stakes involved. Yet, Ji Bodu's background within the organization has likely been exposed. For this reason alone, Ji Xian cannot be spared. Moreover, he must reclaim the fragment of the Xianyuan sword, break the seal, and represent the organization before the ancient emperors. No matter, we have known each other for many years, and I comprehend your considerations. With that, Ji Wuwang departed from the carriage. Meanwhile, Ji Xian continued to endure hellish torment. Ding. Detection of disciples Hualinger, Moua, and Ing Zheng meeting the ascension conditions. Chapter 157. The Hunyuan Divine Intense Sword, the Reaper of Calamities. Above the 9 heavens, the furious thunder gradually subsided. The dark clouds had dispersed, and a golden sun poured forth from a rift in the sky, shining directly upon a withered form. The body floated in midair, darkened by the brush of the thunder god, its skin wrinkled and shriveled, resembling an ancient tree on the verge of death. Should any bystanders be present, they would surely mistake it for a long-weathered corpse. Cough, cough. The emaciated body convulsed violently, coughing twice, releasing wisps of white smoke from its mouth. This broken system nearly finished me off, Ji Xian muttered as he struggled to rise, shaking his frail, withered skin. Crack, crack, crack. The blackened, charred skin shattered inch by inch, and a brilliant white light spilled forth from the fissures. Damn it, Ji Xian howled, and the charred skin covering his body instantly fragmented, dissipating into black smoke in the air. His flawless, jade-like flesh was exposed, emanating a faint aura of celestial essence from within. Congratulations, host, on achieving imperial status. Ji Xian retorted. How can you even say that? How long did this thunder tribulation last? I lost track of time while enduring it. Now that I have ascended to imperial status, is there no acknowledgement of my efforts? The significance has been conveyed. The 9th tribulation is the greatest gift for the host. Ha, ha, ha. The system replied with undue politeness. Ji Xian thought, indeed, as the system suggested, after enduring the 9th tribulation, he felt a profound transformation both in spirit and flesh. Practicing the indestructible sutra, he had undergone lightning refinement during the great calamity, forging a body akin to the legendary indestructible golden form. At the center of his brow, his primordial spirit had transformed into a golden lake, within which sat a figure shrouded in chaotic mist, exuding a deep and mysterious aura. Suddenly, A jarring sound reverberated from all directions, akin to a steel saw grinding against rock. Ji Xian raised his head and observed that his surroundings had morphed into a forbidden domain. The divine thunder unleashed by the ninth tribulation had torn this space asunder, with voids resembling dark clouds enveloping him. Through it, the profound depths of the universe beyond could even be glimpsed. The void was an entity capable of eroding everything. Previously, Ji Xian might have held some trepidation. But now, having ascended to imperial status, he felt no fear. With a swish, the system panel materialized. He checked the progress of his disciples' training. Retrieving interface. Ding. Huolinger, Mid-Saint Realm. Ling Yun, Late Saint Realm. Mo Yue and Mo Yuling, Early Saint Realm. Ing Zheng, Mid-Saint Realm. Ji Xian nodded. What about the gains? Current gains. In terms of cultivation, all avenues of origin are half-step perfected. Celestial treasures. Fearless Divine Carriage X1. Imperial Weapons X15. Superior Celestial Essence X5955. Premium Spirit Crystals X16 million. High-quality Spirit Crystals X29. 5 billion, and additional rewards. Extract cultivation. Detected changes in the host's cultivation realm. The following adjustments will be made. No longer will the enhancement follow a fixed tier, but will instead focus on the condensation of the respective avenue's source. Commencing extraction. Buzz. The imprints within Ji Xian's sea of consciousness began to transform. The cultivation of the Ming Dao realm required practitioners to transmute their source imprints into avenue sources. With the system's assistance, the imprints of Sword Dao, Creation Dao, Space Dao, and Chaos Dao were all transmuted into avenue sources, reaching a half-step perfected state. Only a single opportunity remained to elevate the avenue source to perfection, thereby allowing an immediate breakthrough into the Dharma aspect realm. The disciples' ascension to sainthood lottery was about to commence. As the draw was in progress, congratulations were bestowed upon the host for acquiring the 4th grade celestial artifact. The Hunyuan Divine Intent Sword, X1, the Supreme Treasure of Celestial Dao, the Creation Emperor Star, X1, and the True Phoenix Treasure Technique, X1. The remaining opportunities for enlightenment regarding other techniques and for upgrading magical artifacts had also been granted. The Hunyuan Divine Intent Sword? Ji Xian was momentarily taken aback. He promptly retrieved the Hunyuan Celestial Mirror and the Hunyuan Purple Gold Gourd, attempting to utter a phrase to activate their bond. Beep. Detection indicates that the Hunyuan Celestial Mirror's level is too low. It is advisable to upgrade it first. Reluctantly, Ji Xian complied and utilized one of his artifact upgrade opportunities. In the next instant, the copper rust on the surface of the Hunyuan Celestial Mirror began to flake away, revealing a translucent emerald hue akin to clear waves. Celestial energy surged forth like billowing smoke from the mirror's surface. Simultaneously, the internal world underwent dramatic transformations. The soil of mountains and fields was continuously renewed. The earth cracked in every inch, and rivers began to flow forth. The rivers surged forth like white ribbons across the boundless plains. The tectonic plates of the world rapidly expanded, widening exponentially. What astonished Ji Xian even more was the emergence of nascent human settlements in some of the plains. Humans, as the essence of the great Tao and the sovereign of all things, could not be conceived by mere mythological figures of ancient times. Such a transformation left Ji Xian in awe. With this singular ability, he could now stand shoulder to shoulder with the deities of ancient history. Activating Bond. Bond activated. Hunyuan Catastrophe Reaper. Note: as the Hunyuan catastrophe arises, a grand era of gods and demons approaches. With this bond, the host may receive the following benefits. 1. Exemption from all negative effects arising from the catastrophe. 2. The host will automatically absorb the power of chaos generated by the struggle of all things, with a cap of 1 part in 100 million. 3. Should the host govern the heavenly Tao of a certain world, they may also manipulate the catastrophes within that realm, regardless of the world's level. Ji Xian was taken aback. Although he had anticipated this, he never imagined it would be so potent. The first point indicated that during a grand catastrophe, various principles would become more active, accelerating the cultivation speed of practitioners. However, concurrently, the dark energy lurking throughout the world would proliferate in abundance. This negative energy was immensely powerful, capable of interfering with the evolution of worldly trends, and it would likewise affect individual cultivation. This was a suppression rooted in the very laws of existence, from which no one could escape, not even the ancient sages or heavenly emperors. Yet, Ji Xian could simultaneously absorb the world's power while remaining unaffected, gazing down upon all. The second point elucidated that everything that acquired the power of chaos would allocate a portion to Ji Xian. Although a share of 1 part in 100 million seemed minuscule, it was indeed significant within the vastness of the cosmos. Just considering the 3,000 states, the population was to be counted in billions. Should the scope extend to encompass the entire world, and even to the ancient lands beyond the realms, the accumulation of such a quantity of chaotic power was beyond imagination. As for the third point, it relied solely on Ji Xian's efforts. Currently, he only governed the Xiantian realm, which limited his control over the catastrophes. In the next moment, Ji Xian cradled the Xiantian realm in his palm. channeling the power of the world to send a message to several of his disciples. Hurry here. Chapter 158. After the catastrophe. Disciples ascend to the upper realm, cultivation method upgraded. Ji Xian cast a fleeting glance at the system panel, where the final notification resounded. As of now, the grade of the Burning Sky Codex had ascended to the Imperial level, while the Witchcraft Heavenly Art had reached the Celestial tier. Moreover, the Emperor's divine technique had evolved into an entirely new pinnacle of celestial magic. A contemplative expression crossed Ji Xian's face as he stroked his chin, pondering the relatively low cultivation rank of Linger. The system had bestowed upon her the Phoenix Treasure technique, which should perfectly align with her constitution. At that moment, a towering light gate manifested not far before him. Ji Xian sensed the presence of his disciples. This is indeed the upper realm, infused with a rich aura of sanctity. Before he even arrived, Ling Yun's voice echoed forth. Spotting Ji Xian's visage, he hastily called out, "Master, it has been far too long. How have you been? Have you been eating well?" Suddenly, Ling Yun gasped, his mouth forming an O shape, as he appeared taken aback. His eyes reflecting a mix of astonishment and envy, as if he had witnessed something indescribably magnificent. "What is the matter?" Ji Xian inquired softly, his voice resonating powerfully. A hint of confusion evident as he remained oblivious to his own state of undress. Nothing at all," Ling Yun stammered, scratching the back of his head with an awkward smile. He quickly added, "I had thought Master was merely distinguished by age and seniority, but it seems. Sister. Where is Sister? I missed you so much." A voice rang out from the spatial tunnel behind them, belonging to Mo Yuling. "Sister. You." She had barely poked her forehead out when Ling Yun forcibly pushed her back. Ling Shixiang, you're, Mo Yue, caught in Ling Yun's grasp, blushed fiercely. "Master has some matters to attend to. You are still in your 20s, you shouldn't be seeing this." "Then why can you see?" She protested, struggling to ascend. However, Ling Yun held her down firmly. "This is a secret among men." He wore a mischievous grin. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian furrowed his brow. He looked down, and the overwhelming dragon aura rushed toward him. "Oh dear, the tribulation has completely torn my clothes apart." Ji Xian hastily donned a new outfit. "Ahem, it's all right now. You may all come out." In the next moment, Ling Yun's towering figure darted forth, cradling Mo Yue as if she were a chick. Following him was Huoling, elegantly adorned in a flowing red gown, swaying gracefully in the void like a vibrant fire blossom. Lastly, Yingzheng emerged, appearing somewhat timid, his attire disheveled. As he exited the gate, he seemed to be instructing someone. "Greetings, Master," the group bowed in unison. Mo Yue, feeling a bit lost, could only offer Ji Xian a simple greeting. Ji Xian casually glanced toward the gate and inquired of Yingzheng, "Who else have you brought along?" Yingzheng's face flushed crimson, clearly embarrassed. Replying to Master, "It is the concubine of the disciple, Hua Fei." Ji Xian chuckled warmly. "And yet you remain unmarried. How audacious of you to secretly wed and bring her for your master to see." Yingzheng had no choice but to comply. He turned towards the gate and called out, "Come forth." In the next moment, a young woman with a delicate visage, clad in a flowing blue dress, cautiously stepped out. Her porcelain legs and bare shoulders were exposed, her hair slightly disheveled, and she was panting heavily, a faint blush adorning her cheeks. Ji Xian narrowed his eyes, calculating with a flick of his fingers, and discerned precisely what the two had been engaged in moments prior. After bowing in a gesture of respect to the revered Empress of Xiantian, she trembled slightly, appearing quite anxious. Before her stood the supreme ruler of the Xiantian realm. Yet she presented herself in such a disheveled manner. What would happen if the esteemed ruler were to take offense? Ji Xian replied, "There is no need for formalities. Rise." Only then did she stand, lifting her gaze. Before her, a resplendent sun floated, enveloped in a hazy mist of chaos. Through layers of mystical light, a figure could be faintly discerned, seated in meditation, adorned with a crown, surrounded by celestial bodies. The Empress had attempted countless times to discern the true visage of the man, but to no avail. Is this a deity? Gazing at the radiant sun, she became entranced. Murmuring indistinctly in a trance-like state, Ji Xian produced a jade scepter imbued with the essence of longevity from the void and pointed it toward the Empress. "Take this. Consider it a gift for our first meeting." The Empress accepted it with trepidation, bowing several times in gratitude. "Thank you, esteemed ruler. Thank you. Enough, return now. Mortals do not belong in this realm." Ji Xian glanced around the ethereal space. In an instant, the gate closed with a swish. The atmosphere grew tranquil, and none of the disciples dared to speak first. At that moment, Ji Xian exuded an aura of profoundness that seemed almost unattainable, leaving them in awe. A rustling sound from Yingzheng as he adjusted his trousers broke the silence. Ji Xian turned his gaze upon him and spoke first. "Why such impudence?" Yingzheng's mouth twitched, and his shoulders sagged. "Master, you summoned us using the world's authority. We had no time to react, and were forcibly transported here." The other three nodded in agreement. Ji Xian pondered for a moment, realizing this was indeed unexpected. He casually inquired, "Is this Empress newlywed? She appears quite different from the woman we encountered previously." Yingzheng's expression turned bewildered, clearly confused. "What previous encounter?" "The day we spoke in the Imperial Harem." Ji Xian's words abruptly halted as he quickly realized. That day, through the system, he had witnessed Ying Zheng entangled with another. Alas, this cursed system is to blame. Ji Xian murmured under his breath. Objection. That was the host's doing. Ji Xian swiftly dismissed the interface with a flick of his finger. As long as it remained unspoken, it could not be attributed to him. Which individual, master? I cannot recall. Ying Zheng continued to inquire. Cough, cough, it matters not. In these 10 years, you have taken many a wife. Ji Xian coughed lightly, deftly changing the subject. Ying Zheng finally grasped the situation, bending slightly as he remarked. It seems no matter what, nothing escapes your keen insight, worthy of being the sovereign of the world. Not a few, but over 100, Ji Xian replied. Ji Xian nodded, reminding himself to pay attention to his health and not to delay his cultivation. Meanwhile, the stationed cultivators sensed that the thunderous aura had ceased, and smiles of joy illuminated their faces. Ji Wuwang immediately declared the intention to penetrate the void and apprehend the individual responsible. This proclamation ignited a fervor among the cultivators of the Holy Land. Finally, it was over. 5 years. 5 years. One cultivator had already grown a stubble beard. 5 years. A whole 5 years. Do you know how I have endured these 5 years? Tears of excitement streamed down the faces of some as they knelt and roared. Another helped him up, saying, You chose this idol. The clamor gradually subsided. Ji Wuwang gazed towards the void with an extremely grave expression. The void could suppress space and corrode all things in the world. Even he had to regard it with trepidation. Hiss! Void palm! He barked, striking forward with a palm. Chapter 159. The rise of the Imperial War. The prolonged thunder tribulation had finally abated, and brilliant golden sunlight cascaded down, illuminating the desolate area. Perhaps it was the rebirth after calamity, but this once lifeless ancient mining region now exuded a hint of vitality. New sprouts burst forth from the crumbling rocks. However, in the next moment, this nascent vitality was extinguished by an overwhelming imperial might. Boom. Subsequently, the golden sky was shrouded in darkness. Ji Wuwang unleashed his formidable power, disregarding the barriers of the void, manifesting a void palm imprint that surged forward. The cultivators, still caught in a fervent emotion, were suddenly engulfed in darkness as their surroundings faded away. They looked up to see a black palm imprint, imbued with the essence of the imperial path, clashing violently with the void. The massive hand, as dark as ink, obscured the heavens above. Crack, crack. A piercing sound echoed as the palm imprint and the void were locked in a stalemate, generating colossal waves of energy. The gale took shape, spreading like ink across the surroundings. The scorched earth was stirred up like tumultuous waves, billowing smoke transforming into gigantic hands that reached for the cultivators of the Holy Land. The Emperor Wuwang has made his move. Retreat. The cultivators were instantly jolted back to reality, hastily deploying talismans to shield against the residual waves. Alas, it was too late. Boom. The cultivator at the forefront could not retreat in time and was instantly torn to shreds by the gale. Even his soul was obliterated. The others gasped in horror, retreating as if their lives depended on it. Is this the might of an emperor? Merely a residual wave has claimed the lives of over 1,000. Do not look back, retreat quickly. Meanwhile, Ji Xian was preparing to impart wisdom to a few individuals. Thunderous rumblings reverberated through the heavens. A few disciples lost their footing, stumbling and nearly falling. Ji Xian exhaled a breath of white mist, shielding them. Master, what is that commotion coming from the direction Ling Yun is watching? He asked, his heart racing. He had cultivated the divine sword of life and death, having faced countless life and death situations, rendering him highly sensitive to the approach of death, even to the point of foreseeing it. But just then, that sense of impending danger had struck with an almost instantaneous ferocity. Ji Xian shed the radiant light, enveloping him, and stepped forward. An emperor had made a move. Judging by this aura, it was likely a member of the Ji family. Upon hearing this, Ling Yun furrowed his brow and inquired, Master Ji, is this your maternal family? Ji Xian shot him a disdainful glance and retorted, Get lost. Stay here and don't wander off. He left a trace of true intent in place to protect several disciples and then boldly approached the source of the disturbance. The void, said to erode everything, including the great Tao itself, was now traversed by Ji Xian as if he were in an uninhabited realm. The surrounding particles of nothingness receded like a tide. In his line of sight, a dark, colossal handprint of the void drew nearer, pressing down like a great mountain. Ji Xian gently waved his sleeve, channeling the Tao of the void, and countered with a similar handprint of the void. The two palms met, holding their ground for but a moment before Ji Wuwang's imprint was utterly shattered. Under the influence of their imperial might, the surrounding void was completely dispelled, leaving only a vast expanse of cloud-like energy lingering. Ji Xian opened his palm, drawing back all residual power. The fragmented spatial energy, guided by him, coalesced into a purple vortex, expansive as 10,000 miles, dotted with stars, resembling a resplendent miniature galaxy. The inhabitants of the sacred lands below were already mesmerized, witnessing a golden hand of immense proportions, fingers splayed wide, occupying half the sky, slightly closing to toy with the power of Ji Wuwang's palm. An ancient being. living for 1,000,000 years, possessed such meager prowess? A divine voice resonated from afar, akin to the ringing of a grand bell, sending shivers down the spines of every cultivator. Another emperor had emerged. Today would be a day to remember. 3 emperors had manifested together. A sight unseen for 100,000 years. Quickly retreat. An imperial battle is about to erupt. The sacred lands sensed the impending tension and began to withdraw. The power of the extreme Tao could overturn a star domain, shattering countless stars and instilling dread in all. In ancient times, confrontations between 2 emperors could last for centuries before a victor emerged. Ji Wuwang fixed his gaze intently in that direction, amused. Who would have thought that the offspring of that lineage would grow to this extent? Truly remarkable. Ji Xian remained unfazed, his voice calm. For that remark alone, I shall nail you to the dragon pillar of the heavenly emperor palace, suppressing you with unparalleled reincarnation, allowing the Ji family to once again shine across the 9 heavens. Such audacity. Ji Wuwang soared into the air, creating a distance of several 100,000 miles between them. An endless aura of killing intent permeated the atmosphere, causing the temperature to plummet, as the fiery realm of the imperial palace was suddenly enveloped in snow. Ji Wuwang glanced back at the Ji family disciples before turning to Ji Xian with a suggestion. Shall we battle in the outer cosmos? It would be unwise to endanger the younger generation here. Ji Xian nodded in agreement, indifferent, for the outcome would remain the same regardless of the location. In the next instant, the figures of these 2 extraordinary beings flickered and vanished from sight. Where had they gone? Jiang Wei grasped his battle spear and stepped forward. No need to search. They have gone to the outer cosmos, beyond the realms of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Jiang Zhengyang stepped out of the vehicle, gazing at the overcast sky with a grave expression. He had begun to surmise the identity of Ji Xian. Ancient ancestor, will you not intervene? After all, the Ji family. Jiang Wei approached. Jiang Zhengyang shook his head. At his level of cultivation, he was acutely aware of causality. I cannot decipher that person's fate. Intervening would be detrimental to our Jiang family. Step back. In the vast cosmos, the stars shone brilliantly. Suddenly, a time-worn bell shattered the chaos of stars. Hurtling towards an ancient celestial body, clad in white, Ji Xian stood resolutely atop the ancient star, his demeanor unruffled. Invoking imperial weapons upon making a move. Clearly. You lack vigor, old wretch. He then stomped his right foot, causing the massive star beneath him to disintegrate, using the resulting thrust to propel himself forward. The clash echoed. Ji Xian transformed into a streak of light, conjuring a phantom dragon claw and striking the void bell thrice in rapid succession. The profound chime morphed into tangible ripples, radiating outward. Ji Wuwang sensed impending danger, retreating swiftly and tearing apart a portion of space to counter the incoming sound waves with void. Crack! The ancient bell's surface fissured, a brilliant emerald light escaping. The bell, seemingly imbued with a spirit, flew back autonomously, hovering silently above Ji Wuwang's head. Damn it, you wildling, truly a prodigy. Shattering a layer of the void bell's defense with your physical form, Ji Wuwang clenched his teeth, seething with rage. The cultivation of this layer took at least 100,000 years. Enough of your prattle. Perish. The overwhelming dragon energy and spatial force surged violently, obliterating all in their path. Thus, the 2 extraordinary powerhouses traversed dozens of star domains, rampaging across, shattering hundreds of miniature worlds. Meanwhile, the Xiantian Dao sect in the 3,000 prefectures was embroiled in a brutal conflict. Chapter 160. The mobilization of the underworld mountain, the battle in the starry sky. In the 3,000 prefectures, within the myriad demons prefecture, the earth lay drenched in crimson, engulfed in flames and billowing smoke. The major demon tribes faced complete annihilation. My lord, I implore you spare us. We truly know nothing. The old king of the Tianpeng tribe knelt in supplication, grasping tightly at a demonic cultivator's garment. Unwilling to let go. Humph, ungrateful beast. Do not hesitate to reveal what means the white-clad human possesses. A knight from the underworld mountain stepped forward, positioning his broad sword against the old king's throat. My lord, I genuinely do not know. All I am aware of is that this individual hails from the Jinyun mountain in the Wasteland Prefecture. Our younglings have only just hatched. I beseech you, spare them. The old king's voice trembled with tears, pleading desperately. Ha ha ha. I relish consuming newly hatched fledglings, roasted to perfection, crisp on the outside and tender within. The laughter of the underworld mountain cultivators echoed around him. The old king's heart constricted, an inferno of rage surging within him. You beasts, I shall fight you to the death. He surged to his feet, extending his claws towards the neck of a nearby cultivator. Seeking death, the knight from the underworld mountain advanced, swinging his broad sword down. The blade gleamed as it swept across the ground, and with a soft thud, the aged eagle's head fell to the earth, severed by the blade's arc. Subsequently, its essence was extinguished, leaving no trace of vitality. Ancestors, you vile practitioners of the demonic path, we shall fight you to the bitter end. The disciples of the clan glared with fury, charging towards the scene. Hee. There are indeed those who fear not death. A demon cultivator brandished a broadsword. Thud, thud, Thud. Hundreds of headless corpses collapsed, their blood nearly drowning the entire Tianpeng Great Hall. The forces of the Ming Mountain, having traversed the unpredictable Divine Sea for years, finally landed in the 3,000 states a year prior. At this moment, the cultivators of the Wanyao state were merely reinforcements. The front line had long crossed the borders of the wilderness state. The Ninth Palace Master had issued an order, seize the Xiantian Dao sect at all costs, and reclaim the small imperial coffin. The Tianpeng clan was one of the most prominent clans in the Wanyao state, with its ancestors having reached the Saint Sovereign realm, guarding the coast for nearly 10 millennia. Yet today, they were decapitated by the sword of the Ming Mountain's cultivators, their flesh offered as a grim sacrifice, their lives extinguished. The scene of slaughter spread throughout the Wanyao state. Within the Qingjiao clan, an elder clad in a green-scaled robe shouted urgently, "Qinghan, run." He thrust Qinghan into the interstate teleportation portal. "You old fool, still have time to concern yourself with others." A knight from Ming Mountain hurled a spear, piercing the brow of the Qingjiao king. Boom. In the next instant, the massive serpent's head shattered like a rotten watermelon, its white brain matter staining everything. Ancestor, Qinghan, hidden within the teleportation array, wept softly. At this moment, he was consumed by fear and despair, lacking the strength to activate the portal. Had he known, he would have submitted to that white-clad elder. Qinghan's expression was bleak, filled with profound disappointment. Years prior, that white-clad elder had granted them an opportunity. Yet, in the aftermath of discussions, the leaders of the various demon clans held differing opinions, failing to reach a consensus, and thus missed that chance. Who could have foreseen that such a minor decision would lead to such catastrophic consequences? If only that white-clad elder had been present, perhaps they could have repelled these demonic cultivators. Oh, having slain an old bidding, there's still a little bidding hidden here. The teleportation array was violently torn apart by a knight, exposing Qinghan before the crowd. "Please, don't kill me. I beg you." The Qingjiao clan was annihilated. In the span of merely a year, several top demon clans of the Wanyao state had been exterminated, rendering the state a mere shadow of its former self. Utterly fallen. Mobilize the troops to attack the wilderness state. Join forces with the main front line. A knight clad in dark-scaled armor raised the banner of Ming Mountain, fervently waving it. Ming Mountain, an ancient power, once rivaled the ancient immortal court in the bygone era. Though countless years have passed, and its glory has faded, its profound heritage and formidable might ensure that no other power could withstand its presence. Wherever they tread, the blood of the fallen stained the soil crimson. Thus, an entire state of the 3,000 was decisively conquered. Kill. The vast army surged toward the neighboring wilderness state. In the boundless cosmos, a river of stars hung like a silken ribbon in the sky. It does not rely on soil and earth. Instead, it meanders through the stars. Each droplet of river water encapsulates a tiny star, rendering the entire river resplendent and breathtakingly beautiful. Suddenly, two figures burst forth from the center of the river. One, clad in white garments, possesses a youthful and handsome visage, exuding vigor and strength, with the moon and sun, the two principal stars, illuminating all around him. The other figure, stooped and aged, despite his frail appearance, emanates a potent aura of destruction with every gesture. "Young man, I advise you to surrender the Xianyuan sword promptly, or this emperor shall leave you intact." Ji Wuwang's voice was hoarse yet powerful. With a scoff, Ji Xian retorted, "Such arrogance. A creature that has lived for 2 or 3 million years cannot even subdue me. You have brought shame upon the Ji clan." At these words, Ji Wuwang's expression darkened. Arrogant. He conjured a void treasure seal, unleashing chaotic currents of the void, as purple mist enveloped the area, transforming into myriad sharp blades that pierced forward. These blades, imbued with unparalleled might, traversed the starry river, effectively severing it and forcing the water to flow backward, suspended in the heavens. Ji Xian, stepping upon the void with an enigmatic gait, lightly lifted his toes, each step a mirage, his form flickering between reality and illusion, as if he did not belong to this world. With just a few swift movements, he evaded the onslaught of blades effortlessly. Slow, too slow. He initially thought the Imperial battle would be captivating. "Old Bai, you have greatly disappointed me. If the Ji clan's emperor is of your caliber, Emperor Xianyuan would surely rise from his grave to give you a couple of slaps." "You." Ji Wuwang's fury ignited, cursing inwardly. Who brought this insolent brat out? Such a loose tongue. He then extended his withered hand, conjuring a great bow, and with a breath, he transformed a precious hairpin into a lethal arrow. The bow was drawn to a crescent shape, and the hairpin elongated to about 10 feet, taut against the string. Buzz. The divine arrow was released, its trailing light stretching for miles like a comet, conjuring fierce winds that cleaved through countless stars. Humph. Ji Xian let out a cold snort, golden flames igniting upon his skin, forming a thin layer of armor that seemed impervious to all. His blood surged with vigor as he thrust his fist forward, shattering the hairpin into a fine powder that dissipated in the air. Ji Wuwang's old skin twitched. That hairpin had been refined since his ascension to emperor. While it may not rival the Great Void Bell, it was on the cusp of reaching the threshold of imperial weapons. Has this individual's physical form become so formidable? Wait. His golden form seemed increasingly familiar. It is said that within the great Brahma's thunderous sound temple, there exists a strangely beautiful bodhisattva who has also cultivated such a golden body. When activated, 8 arms sprout from the back, all moving in unison to suppress any malevolence. Indestructible golden body, he exclaimed involuntarily. To engage with this emperor and still dare to be distracted, Ji Xian swung his fist, imbued with golden flames, and charged forward directly. Not good. Ji Wuwang's countenance stiffened. The void bell. A verdant bell materialized out of thin air, shielding him. Begone. Ji Xian substantiated his path through sheer force, single-handedly clashing against the emperor's weapon. The grand clock of the void appeared for but a fleeting moment before Ji Xian sent it hurtling thousands of miles away with a mere glance. The two were separated by only 100 zhang. Ji Wuwang's expression turned to one of profound terror. In battles between emperors, a distance of 1,000 miles could determine life or death, let alone a mere fingertips gap. In a panic, he raised his hand to defend. But it was too late. Ji Xian transformed his fist into an open palm, his right hand morphing into a radiant silver disc that descended with great force. Bang! Crack! The sound of shattered ribs echoed. In an instant, flesh and broken bones scattered. Even the remnants of internal organs were violently expelled. Ji Wuwang let out a harrowing scream, teetering on the brink of unconsciousness. His entire body, from shoulder to waist, was rent asunder by the vertical descent of the silver moon. Chapter 161. The outcome is clear. Retreat within the Taichu Forbidden Zone. The gathered cultivators gazed solemnly at the heavens. The two formidable figures had departed over a year ago, leaving behind no news or energy fluctuations. During this time, dozens of major sects had ventured forth to the periphery of the ancient mines, seeking to seize some opportunities. Yet, only 4 or 5 groups returned alive, bringing with them astonishing revelations. Some whispered in trepidation that the outer regions had become a battlefield drenched in blood. Regardless of whether they were human, demon, ancient, or barbarian clans, they fought desperately, causing the sun and moon to lose their radiance, even altering the very terrain. It was as if an unseen force compelled all cultivators to contend and vie for supremacy. The landscape was littered with mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Witnessing such a scene, none could escape a chill of horror and nausea. Furthermore, an elderly man, whose lower body had been shattered, claimed to have seen the ethereal forms of ancient deities, more than one, manifesting as the very essence of the Forbidden Zone. Even the mightiest of saints could not withstand a single clash beneath their hands. As they beheld the return of the frail and wounded, the sacred lands began to tremble with fear. Was it possible that ancient deities had resurfaced? Were we doomed? With so many deities emerging, capable of obliterating even the great saints with a single strike, could we survive this? I sensed that not only within the secret realm, but the world outside was also on the brink of chaos. At this moment, only the Ji family remained fixated upon the sky, their expressions tense, as if awaiting something. Elder, with your profound cultivation, can you divine the current state of our revered ancestor Wu Wang? A young disciple stepped forward, tugging at the sleeve of an elder. The elder, with hair as white as snow and clad in coarse linen, exuded the air of a mundane celestial being. Foolish child. The emperor's fate cannot be foretold, not by me, at least. We must simply wait. However, I believe that our ancestor Wu Wang, with his deep reserves, will not fall to that man. After all, he has only just ascended to emperor status. These words calmed the anxious hearts of the younger disciples. The elder spoke true. Our ancestor Wu Wang's profound foundation would not falter against one who has just become an emperor. Yes, we must have faith in our ancestor Wu Wang. In the boundless starry sky, Ji Wu Wang, dragging his broken body, was fleeing in a frenzy. His aged visage twisted further, his white hair disheveled and wild, resembling a tangle of hay scattered in disarray. Damn it, he cannot be healed. His jaw clenched tightly. He exerted every ounce of energy to operate his healing techniques, yet found no effect whatsoever. I detest the indestructible golden body and the 9 heavenly tribulations. Behind him, Ji Xian pursued relentlessly. Old fool, do you truly believe you can escape? His entire being radiated with golden light, his vitality surging, transforming into a golden divine dragon that swooped down. Observing Ji Wuwang's battered form, Ji Xian felt a wave of emotion. The emperor was a being who had attained the great Tao, possessing an extraordinarily resilient life force, nearly reaching the realm of immortality. He had been entangled with Ji Wuwang for a year and a half, barely managing to bring him to the brink of death. Although he had yet to employ any means beyond his physical body, he still deemed his progress too slow. Sigh, I am still too weak. The path to strength is arduous. I must diligently cultivate and strive to deliver a single punch that obliterates. He lamented. Hearing this, Ji Wuwang nearly fainted from rage. Having been an emperor for over 1,000,000 years, he was accustomed to being revered like the moon among stars. He had never endured such humiliation. You insolent brat. Do not revel in your triumph. Once I regain my sacred power, I shall show you what true dominion entails. With a fierce bark, Ji Xian's golden radiance intensified, and he surged forward, slamming his palm down once more. Feeling the immense energy wave approaching, Ji Wuwang hastily flung several talismans behind him, attempting to seal off that space. The sound of cracking crystal echoed as Ji Xian's fist imprint pierced through the barrier formed by the talismans, crashing directly into Ji Wuwang's left side. Boom, boom, boom. After 3 intense collisions, Ji Wuwang's left hand shattered instantly, and even the side of his body began to fracture. Another wave of flesh and blood erupted. This injury far more severe than the last, with Ji Xian tearing off both of his legs. "Ah, may you suffer a fate worse than death," he screamed, cursing at the sight of his mangled body. At that moment, only the upper part of Ji Wuwang's torso remained, struggling to hold on. "Old fool, you are nearly dead. Why not divulge the information of the organization and the secrets of the unorthodox lineage?" Ji Wuwang's body was in tatters, enduring immeasurable pain. For cultivators at the Emperor realm, as long as the wounds were not fatal, they could heal instantaneously. Yet, for some reason, he could not activate any arcane methods after being struck by this man's fist imprint. If it were not for this, how could Ji Wuwang be so passive? "You will not escape." "Ah, the spatial law manifestation." Ji Wuwang roared, and then a purple light erupted from the top of his head. The purple light blazed, resembling a divine sun. As the smoke cleared, Ji Xian finally discerned its form. It was a cage entwined with chains, enveloped in eerie black mist, exuding a dense aura of spatial rules. Witnessing this sight, Ji Xian was not the least bit surprised. Ji Wuwang was a cultivator of the law manifestation realm, a fact he had sensed from the beginning. Upon entering the Emperor realm, the rules of cultivation varied with each tier. This represented a level in the Great Tao, where the superior exerted absolute dominance over the inferior. Especially in the realm of Dharma manifestations, the strength cultivated in this domain often parallels, or even surpasses, that of the practitioner's true self. Therefore, engaging in combat beyond one's level in this realm proves exceedingly challenging. However, to Ji Xian, the likes of Ji Wuwang appeared rather unimpressive. Buzz! The void bell soared forth from the space adjacent to the cage, standing alongside it, shielding Ji Xian. Ji Xian activated his divine sight and gazed ahead, noticing Ji Wuwang racing towards the boundary of the 3,000 states. Seeking to escape? Xiong Xin sensed the urgency and autonomously emerged from the red dust sword box, landing in Ji Xian's palm, grasping the sword with one hand. An overwhelming sword intent surged from within him like a tsunami, dispersing the surrounding stars. His eyes narrowed sharply as he slashed forward, instantly unleashing a crescent-shaped beam of sword light aimed at the Dharma manifestation and the bell. Clang! In but a fleeting encounter, the Dharma manifestation, representing Ji Wuwang's spatial path, was obliterated. The sword light then collided violently with the bell, producing an incessant, piercing sound of friction as the two imperial artifacts clashed, unleashing a tempest of energy. Boom! A deafening explosion resonated. Blazing light erupted, flooding the starry expanse with a brilliant white glow, rendering countless resplendent stars devoid of their original brilliance. A shrill cry emanated from within the bell. Soon after, the ethereal form of the artifact spirit appeared above, dissipating like a fleeting dream in the wind. At this moment, the void bell was marred with numerous scars. Reduced to a forsaken object, Ji Xian retrieved it and pursued Ji Wuwang without hesitation. Meanwhile, a disturbance rippled through the clouds above the Taichu ancient mine, where the inky clouds began to churn and burn fiercely like a raging inferno. "Something's happening, everyone look." The disciples of the Ji clan were the first to notice the commotion in the sky, turning their gazes toward it. "I sense a profound spatial rule. The ancestor has returned. The ancestor has triumphed." Indeed, Ji Wuwang had emerged, though his body lay in tatters, with only his chest and head precariously intact. On the verge of disintegration, a wave of shock coursed through the crowd. To inflict such grievous wounds upon the Emperor of Wuwang indicated that the opposing force possessed formidable prowess. An elder rose and stepped forward, tears of excitement streaming down his face. "He has returned. He has returned. At last, we have eliminated that threat." The younger disciples also stood to greet him, their hearts a tumult of elation and sorrow. "The ancestor has triumphed. He has slain an emperor upon his return, truly a transcendent being. We must surely procure the immortal elixir to heal the ancestor. His contributions to our Ji clan have been monumental. The ancestor is invincible. A grand era for the Ji clan is upon us." Yet, in the next moment, Ji Wuwang opened his bloodshot eyes and, summoning every ounce of strength, shouted at them. "Run! Run quickly!" Just as the disciples were processing this, Ji Xian's divine sound resonated from the heavens, reverberating like a mournful bell. Even in his dying moments, he yearns for family reunion. Very well, then let us embark together. Chapter 162. The fall of an emperor on the Crimson Plains. Ji Wuwang's battered form lay desolately. Once a mighty emperor, basking in glory, he now resembled a forsaken wild dog, discarded in the wilderness, subject to the relentless assault of the swirling sands and stones. A resonant hum reverberated as the weighty clouds parted, cleaved by a golden spear that thunderously broke through, retreating to either side. Before Ji Xian even arrived, the might of the spear had already penetrated the forbidden zone of Taichu. The spear, resplendent in its golden hue, was forged from divine metal. its tip adorned with ethereal stars, piercing toward Ji Wuwang's form like a celestial weapon descending from the heavens. The Ji clan, a multitude of warriors, traversed towering mountains in haste. All disciples, heed my command. Protect our ancient ancestor. The leading elder, wielding a blue treasure fan, waved his hand, conjuring a towering sandstorm tornado, attempting to dissipate the lethal threat of the golden divine spear. Another elder summoned forth a scroll depicting mountains and rivers, from which numerous sacred peaks soared into the sky, indistinguishable from real mountain ranges. And attempting to shake a tree, Ji Xian's divine voice resonated through the heavens, echoing with a richness akin to a bronze bell. The spear quivered slightly, and the overwhelming imperial might radiated outward, shattering all encroaching winds and stones into mere dust that cascaded down. The two elders, who had launched the attack, found themselves immobilized by the imperial force, frozen in place. As the wind swept by, they were gruesomely split from head to toe, blood gushing forth, staining the wilderness ever redder. Ji Wuwang let out a desperate roar, a purple mark illuminating his forehead. A dazzling circular halo materialized, rapidly expanding, as countless ancient characters surged forth from his brow, filling the 12 positions of the ring and commencing their orderly rotation. This was a portable miniature imperial formation, now summoned by Ji Wuwang in a desperate bid to save his own life. The spear's tip descended vertically, colliding with the imperial formation, and the clash of two violent forces sent shockwaves that uprooted mountains. The rugged expanse of the wilderness transformed instantaneously into an endless plain, and the Ji clan's disciples, caught unawares, were engulfed by the oncoming sea of sand. With a crackling sound, the divine might of the golden spear met the imperial formation, momentarily locking in a fierce standoff. A glimmer of hope ignited within Ji Wuwang's eyes. His consciousness surged forth, spontaneously forming imperial scripts, ready to tear through the fabric of space and vanish into the void. The purple imperial scripts intertwined rapidly, and in mere moments, a fissure of 5 feet square materialized before him. A grotesque grin stretched across his weathered face as he cackled malevolently. "Ha, bastard, I concede you possess some strength, but to think you can slay me? Impossible." With that, he plunged into the void, seemingly on the brink of escape. Think again. It won't be that simple. At this moment, Ji Xian had already returned to the realm of the 3,000 prefectures. He broke through the clouds and dove downward, his entire being radiating golden light as he struck out with an open palm. In an instant, a colossal palm imprint shattered the clouds, descending like a mountain of sorcery. Within the palm, the cosmos shifted, fingers splayed to represent the 5 elements, delineating space, chaos, creation, fire, and the sword. With a thunderous crash, the ground trembled as the earth sank thousands of feet. The force of the palm traveled to the spear's base, augmenting its downward pressure, and with a devastating force, it breached the imperial formation. The void tunnel Ji Wuwang had opened was pierced by the spear, forcibly extracting his form from the dimensional rift. Puff! He was pierced through the chest by the tip of a gun, his body exploding in a thunderous eruption. The aged head was swept away by the swirling sands, soaring high into the sight of all. It was the head of the unforeseen emperor. No one could have anticipated that this new emperor possessed such formidable strength. What a gruesome scene. Was he truly to be slain? Jiang Xingyang, with his white hair and youthful visage, was filled with astonishment. He never imagined that someone as powerful as Ji Wuwang could be so thoroughly suppressed, lacking even a hint of the opportunity to retaliate. "Ancestor, shall we intervene?" Jiang Wei stepped forward to inquire. Jiang Xingyang hesitated, then replied, "Let us wait a moment longer." Ji Xian descended from the air and delivered a powerful kick to Ji Wuwang's head. Bang! Cracks appeared on the ancient head, enveloped in thick smoke, plummeting at high speed into a demonic mountain, shattering it with a resounding crash and rolling for miles. Ji Xian floated in midair, enveloped in golden divine light, his vitality surging, soaring towards the heavens. At this moment, clad in pristine white, he appeared utterly composed, resembling someone who had not just endured a cataclysmic battle of emperors. With an icy gaze directed towards the fractured demonic mountain, he spoke with authority. "Did you not desire the Xianyuan sword? Here it is." He then pointed towards the Heavenly Emperor Palace and shouted, "Sword, come." Buzz! The doors of the Heavenly Emperor Palace opened as if endowed with sentience, and a crimson broken sword flew out, instantly appearing in Ji Xian's grasp. The Xianyuan sword. Jiang Xingyang recognized this weapon immediately, for it was once the mightiest artifact of the celestial court. The other cultivators looked on in terror, astonished that such a being had truly acquired the legacy of the Heavenly Emperor Palace. "Die!" Ji Xian gritted his teeth, uttering a word that sent chills through all present. He hurled the Xianyuan sword with one hand, transforming it into a streak of red light that pierced the demonic mountain, driving through Ji Wuwang's head, pinning him firmly against the mountain's body. "You shall not have a good death." Ji Wuwang roared in agony, as the vitality within his mind rapidly waned. An artifact of celestial origin is indeed beyond the endurance of any mortal cultivator, even in its damaged state. Compelled, he shed his body like a golden cicada, sending his soul fire out into the open. The demonic mountain was rife with sinister energies, the space highly unstable and capable of shielding cultivators' divine thoughts, greatly aiding his escape. Today I must retreat. I cannot contend with this wild child. Ji Wuwang's soul fire hovered in the air, exceedingly frail, at this moment. He could scarcely withstand even a glance from Ji Xian. Yet, in the next instant, his soul inexplicably surged towards Ji Xian. Resisting was futile. Old Bai Deng, since you refuse to divulge anything, I shall personally extract your soul, Ji Xian declared fiercely, extending his hand to channel the power of creation, ensnaring Ji Wuwang's spirit within his grasp. Better to kill than to endure humiliation. I shall self-destruct my soul. I do not believe I cannot obliterate you, Ji Wuwang bellowed. Having completely lost his sanity, humiliated by Ji Xian's single-handed assault, he had forfeited all the dignity of an emperor. If he were to undergo a soul extraction now, it would be more merciful to cast him into the depths of hell, forever barred from reincarnation. The flames of the primordial spirit ignited fervently, radiating a scorching light, a manifestation of the return of vitality. Thunderous roars echoed as the fire within Ji Xian's palm grew increasingly intense, fissures fracturing its surface. The terrifying power surging forth like a great dragon, seemingly on the verge of eruption. The Emperor's self-detonation of divine consciousness could grievously wound several peers of the same level, potentially taking 3 or 4 along on that fateful journey. How naive of you to think otherwise. Would this Emperor grant you such an advantage? Ji Xian sneered repeatedly, extending his left hand to form a crimson seal. The small seal blazed like red clouds, its surface entwined with an overwhelming celestial pressure. In the next moment, it transformed into an ancient divine mountain, descending to firmly pin Ji Wuwang beneath it. Is this truly a flawless celestial artifact? Ji Wuwang gasped in shock. How could such a treasure still exist in this realm? Could it be from the Heavenly Emperor Palace? That seemed implausible. Even the mightiest celestial artifacts could not evade the great purge of yore. He muttered to himself, calculating every conceivable possibility. Ji Xian fixed his gaze upon the flame, then shook his head. Infiltrating the Emperor's primordial spirit proved to be exceedingly arduous. Ji Wuwang had already sealed himself. Should a forced soul search occur, he would undoubtedly self-destruct without hesitation. In that case, you would be of no further use. Perish. A golden lake materialized at his brow, and a vague figure emerged, wielding a sharp sword, exuding an aura of lethal intent. Hold on, my friend. A voice echoed from a distance. It was Jiang Xingyang, arriving on the ancient war chariot of the Jiang family, his hair white, yet youthful, his complexion vibrant. Ji Xian cast him a cold glance. What brings you here? Do you intend to save him? Jiang Xingyang shook his head. Certainly not. I merely wish to inform you of something. Speak. At our level of cultivation, one must be acutely aware of causality. Wuwang has existed for 1,000,000 years, forging numerous friendships. Should you insist on taking his life, you will inevitably create many formidable enemies for yourself. Ji Xian chuckled lightly. This emperor defies the heavens and cleaves through myriad paths. What do mere causalities mean to me? My friend, are you aware of the existence of the Imperial Alliance? Jiang Xingyang questioned, a hint of reluctance in his voice. What is that? Ji Xian inquired, raising his head with a slight frown. The Imperial Alliance is a coalition of emperor-level figures, established to address the uncertainties at the borders. Additionally, it serves to restrain the actions of the emperors, limiting their interventions. You must think carefully about this course of action. You are still young. Having just ascended to emperor status, the road ahead is long. Jiang Xingyang's words became increasingly indistinct. He did not wish to resort to violence, but hoped to persuade Ji Xian to show leniency. However, judging by Ji Xian's reaction, it was clear that his efforts were in vain. Ji Xian's smile turned icy, as if dismissing all concerns. Did the emperor of the Ji family consider the rules of the Imperial Alliance when he acted against me? Clearly, the Imperial Alliance is of no consequence. He strikes at me without restraint simply because he hails from an ancient family? At this juncture, Ji Xian's aura shifted dramatically, vast divine phantoms manifesting behind him, wielding the sun, moon, and stars. As for the causality you speak of, there exists but one form of causality in this world, one that is embodied by this emperor. As the words concluded, a small figure emerged from the center of Ji Xian's brow, wielding a golden divine sword that pierced through Ji Wuwang's primordial spirit. A once great emperor, who had galloped through 1,000,000 years and ruled over an era of splendor, fell into oblivion. Chapter 163. The Weeping Heavens in the Vast Expanse Above. The golden figure from Ji Xian's brow, brandishing the divine sword, unleashed a stunning strike. In an instant, the space rippled like water, and an unparalleled divine radiance pierced through Ji Wuwang's flame of primordial spirit. That flame was cleaved in two, gradually dimming. Ji Wuwang's voice emerged from within. Do you think killing me serves any purpose? You face the entirety of the underworld mountain and the foreign realms. The grand momentum of heaven and earth will arrive. Even if this emperor does not instigate it, all will come to pass as destined. I foresee that the ancient emperors are about to emerge. I wonder what you will use to resist them. Ji Wuwang struggled momentarily before soon falling silent. The head that was firmly impaled on the demon mountain by the Xianyuan sword quickly withered, exhausting all its vitality. Ancient ancestor, a knight from the Ji family, who had just entered this region, stumbled to the ground, fists pounding the earth, weeping uncontrollably, sorrow cascading down like frost. The younger generation behind him also shed reluctant tears. One of the guardians of the Ji family had fallen. Everyone was enveloped in a sea of sorrow. Though the realms engaged in their own conflicts, they were, in essence, one family, facing the invasions from the foreign realms and the ancient lands beyond. Now, at the onset of this grand epic, the demise of an emperor brought grief to all. Boom. A violent explosion resounded from the heavens, startling the people awake as they looked up. The once desolate sky suddenly split open with a gaping black maw, from which billowed ominous black clouds, swirling endlessly. In the next moment, with a streak of crimson lightning, the heavens began to rain blood-red droplets. Pitter-patter. The inhabitants of the sacred lands extended their hands, perplexed as they observed the rain splattering against their palms. What is this? An omen from the Forbidden Zone? Is disaster imminent? The young cultivators gazed at the sky in confusion, their expressions filled with trepidation, before summoning their artifacts for protection. Only the elder cultivators understood the reality, responding calmly as the rain drummed against their faces. It is the weeping heavens, spoke an old man from the Dao-E sacred land, his words tinged with a sense of melancholy. A young acolyte tugged at his robe, looking up inquiringly. Master, what does it mean for the heavens to weep? The emperor is a being affirmed by the Tao of heaven. After his corporeal form perishes, the heavens will descend blood rain and mourning, the old man replied. The young cultivators were profoundly shaken. The death of one who had reached such heights of cultivation could indeed elicit a lament from the heavens. All present bowed their heads in silent tribute, mourning the passage of this emperor who had traversed the cosmos. As the rain intensified, splattering mud everywhere, a somber atmosphere engulfed the hearts of all. Ji Xian stood resolutely amidst the clouds, his towering figure gazing down upon the falling blood rain. Unlike the others, he felt no empathy in the face of such solemnity. As Ji Xian understood deeply, this would not be the last emperor to perish at his hands. To defy the heavens and challenge the immortals, one must eliminate all adversaries. The power of quantity floating in the air had coalesced into a tangible form, now far more potent than before. This force, born from the great upheaval of the heavens and earth, could either aid one's ascension to the celestial realms or cast one into the abyss. Ultimately, everything depended on individual struggle and ambition. Ji Xian felt a stirring within and gazed into the depths of the Forbidden Zone, where the ethereal silhouettes of ancient emperors had begun to materialize. The primal forces had shattered most of the seals. Their emergence was imminent, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps within the year. The heavy rain continued to fall, persisting for a considerable duration. Suddenly, a cacophony of roars erupted from the Ji clan's ranks. Ah, Ji Xian, may you meet a wretched fate. You wretched spawn, return our ancestral spirit. A young junior, appearing no more than a mere decade old, harbored immense admiration for the unfathomable emperor. At that moment, he knelt on the ground, hands clutching 2 handfuls of soil, his eyes ablaze with rage, glaring at the figure clad in white above. Silence. Such disrespect towards the emperor is intolerable. An elder cultivator hurriedly stepped forward, attempting to pull the youth away. Yet, upon contact, the young body erupted into a multitude of fissures. What is this? Ah. The young cultivator's visage twisted in agony as he writhed on the ground, appearing to suffer immensely. Within mere moments, his form was entirely disintegrated, shriveling into the blood-stained earth below. The sudden and bizarre transformation caused those nearby to recoil in alarm, retreating hastily to avoid the ominous taint. An elder of the Ji clan approached, picking up the soil with astonishment. At that moment, Jiang Xingyang, meditating in a trance, opened his eyes and gazed in that direction. On the day of the emperor's decree, any low-tier cultivator daring to speak ill of the emperor would inevitably incur misfortune and divine punishment. Typically, when a cultivator slanders an emperor from the shadows, the most they might expect is a bolt of divine lightning to strike them, crippling their cultivation or rendering them incapacitated. Yet, this disciple was astonishingly disintegrated by the great Tao in an instant. He lifted his gaze towards the majestic figure in the sky, his heart filled with lament. Unfathomable friend, your conjecture may be misguided. Such anomalies can exist only in singularity, regardless of how the heavens may transform. It appears that the opportunities of the Heavenly Emperor Palace are indeed not destined for the Jiang clan. With this realization, Jiang Xingyang abruptly rose, sweeping his hand in command. Jiang clan, retreat. Thus, the Jiang forces departed in an imposing procession. The members of the Holy Lands followed suit, bereft of the courage to stand before that figure in white without the support of an emperor. Ji Xian observed the retreating figures of the Holy Lands without hindrance. He descended from the clouds, gliding down gracefully before several disciples like a fallen celestial. Let us proceed to the Heavenly Emperor Palace. Having endured the trials of the ninefold tribulations and the cleansing of the imperial battles, the Heavenly Emperor Palace stood resolute, unwavering. Ing Zheng gazed up at the palace, towering as if touching the heavens, and could not help but exclaim, in comparison, my royal palace resembles a mere thatched hut. Ji Xian turned back with a smile. The one in our sect is 4 or 5 times larger. Wow, Master, you are truly remarkable. Several individuals successively entered the Celestial Emperor's palace. Good morning, esteemed leader. Upon entering, the 4 deities of fortune, prosperity, longevity, and happiness stood on either side, adorned in crimson silk. They energetically waved their banners, welcoming the guests along a lengthy red carpet that stretched for miles, leading directly to the majestic throne of the Celestial Emperor. What is the meaning of this? Ji Xian mused, bemused by the overly festive appearance of the 4 deities. Great leader, you have vanquished the ancient emperor and possess the capability to ascend to the pinnacle. We have no objections. The foremost deity, Little Fortune, grinned widely. Within the palace lies a celestial scripture, a relic from the primeval era, which has remained uncomprehended for millions of years. Is that so? Ji Xian focused his divine sight inward, indeed discovering 3 great seals floating behind the throne, exuding a potent aura of celestial essence. He stepped lightly forward, advancing deeper into the palace. Chapter 164. The 3 Seals of Heaven, Earth, and Humanity. The transcendence of the sword path inside the Celestial Emperor's palace. Rows of purple flames illuminated the surroundings. Hundreds of dragon pillars stood in formation, each intricately carved with a true dragon, radiating an air of opulence. Before the throne made of celestial crystals, Ji Xian stood alone, gazing upward at the 3 floating seals. These were 3 well-preserved stone carvings, inscribed with the celestial cultivation method. Each seal continuously manifested unique phenomena. A sweeping glance revealed a vast expanse of the cosmos, where a human figure stood proudly in the void, one hand pointing to the heavens and the other to the earth, surrounded by a swirling aura of dark yellow. Embodying the might of creation, Ji Xian reached out, grasping the 3 seals. System, activate the opportunity for instant enlightenment through this cultivation method. Commencing cultivation, in an instant, Ji Xian's consciousness immersed itself in that vast realm, merging with the human figure, his hands swiftly forming seals and producing countless marks. Training complete. Moments later, Ji Xian's consciousness was drawn back to reality. Above him loomed a dark yellow sky, and beneath his feet lay a mountain formed of azure stones. He bore a humanoid seal upon his back, imbued with the regal essence of crimson gold. Heavenly seal, human sovereign seal, mountain-embracing seal, he murmured. The 4 deities, witnessing the miraculous phenomena, were rendered speechless in awe. This celestial cultivation method grants instant enlightenment? Little Fortune's jaw dropped, gripping Little Happiness's thigh tightly. Quick, tell me this isn't real? Little Happiness, adorned with a golden veil, appeared pale. Big brother, I see it too. It is indeed real. Release me. In a daze, Ji Xian suddenly found himself before them. Thud. Little Fortune immediately knelt. Great leader, I beg you accept us. He was merely a deity without physical form, and each time he bowed, his head would amusingly sink into the ground. Ji Xian furrowed his brow. What use do I have for you 4 insignificant beings? Once you leave this Celestial Emperor's palace, will you have any significance left? As he spoke, Ji Xian inadvertently caught a glimpse of Ying Zhang's fervent gaze. He gripped the dragon pattern cauldron with unwavering resolve, wishing fervently to confine the deities within its depths at that very moment. Within the celestial palace of the Heavenly Emperor lies a treasure vault, sealed by the former emperor with a prohibition that only we can breach. Furthermore, we 4 possess the ability to ensure that the land flourishes with favorable weather and that the realm enjoys peace and prosperity. The minor deities approached eagerly, extolling their virtues and the benefits they could offer. They had been enshrined by the ancient emperor, enduring cycles of reincarnation for millions of years. The celestial court's power is eternal, coexisting with the heavens and the earth. As long as the name of the celestial court is remembered, they shall never cease to exist, destined to remain here unless a new emperor grants them a new decree. As the deities spoke, tears began to flow from their eyes. This was their 9th life, and the weight of solitude had become unbearable. Ji Xian remained unmoved, secretly observing Ying Zhang's reaction. Ying Zhang appeared eager, his face flushed, hands clenched tightly, beads of perspiration forming. In the next moment, he lifted his gaze and sensed Ji Xian's scrutiny, feeling compelled to approach. Master, if these 4 deities could be nurtured properly, they would surely rival the ancient gods, bringing countless benefits to our sect. Ji Xian could no longer contain his laughter. This young man, possessing a regal bearing and an emperor's countenance, resembled a bashful maiden when seeking favor. He extended a hand, and a beam of white light entered Ying Zhang's body. Instantly, Ying Zhang felt a portion of the fortune of the Xiantian Dao sect merge with his own. In other words, his master had directly bestowed upon him a fragment of administrative power, even granting him the authority to nurture deities. Master, why would you give me such an important gift? Although filled with excitement, Ying Zhang was still perplexed. Ji Xian smiled warmly. Take it. It is a gift for your ascension to sainthood. Thank you, Master. Notification. Detected that the host has granted disciple Ying Zhang 1,000th of the administrative authority of the Xiantian Dao sect, triggering a return of 2,450,000 times. Acquired the deity of the river god at the great accomplishment level. Binding in progress. Binding successful. Note. This deity has been automatically assigned to the river within the celestial city. Please claim it promptly. Immediately, the stat panel of the river god materialized before him. It depicted a young man with grayish hair, clad in blue, smiling gently, wielding a golden axe in his left hand and a silver axe in his right. Ji Xian was taken aback. This figure seemed oddly familiar. Most astonishingly, this deity at great accomplishment possessed strength at the level of an emperor. He shook off his thoughts and refocused. Yet, he soon noticed the eager gazes of the other disciples. Ji Xian waved his hand. I understand. There is enough for all. With a grand gesture, 3 treasures appeared before him. A replica of the true Phoenix treasure art, a 2-element divine sword, and a star imbued with the essence of creation. The true Phoenix treasure art stands alongside the true Dragon treasure art, both being esteemed celestial techniques. After previous communications with the system, Ji Xian learned that the opportunity to upgrade techniques could not be applied to those acquired through discipleship. Thus he decided to bestow this art upon Huolinger. The 2-element divine sword, on the other hand, was obtained from the hands of the ancestor of Yin and Yang, perfectly aligned with Ling Yun's attributes. The divine star of creation is a supreme treasure embodying the essence of creation. Ji Xian has firmly engraved its profound truths in his heart, thus bestowing it upon the Mo sisters. With a mere gesture, several treasures fell into the hands of his disciples. Thank you, master, they exclaimed, kneeling in gratitude. Meanwhile, Fu, Lu, Shou, and Shi were rendered speechless in astonishment. They were born in an illustrious era, having encountered numerous celestial treasures. If they were not mistaken, the new emperor had just casually tossed them some truly remarkable artifacts. Forgive us, Emperor Xianyuan, we are not acquainted. They implored. Great one, we are grateful for your favor. The group knelt, their foreheads pressed against the ground. Ji Xian approached and playfully nudged them with his foot. You are kneeling incorrectly. Yes, your teachings are wise. Great one, they responded, quickly shifting their reverence towards Ying Zheng with a series of profound bows. The entire assembly was amused by the scene. Beep. Detected that the host has gifted the Ling Yun Liangyi Sword X1, triggering a return of 2 for 160,000 times. Acquired Immortal Sword Source X1. Immortal Sword Source. All sword intents wielded by the host shall eternally exist in the realm, impervious to obliteration by any individual or principle without the host's consent. Note, merging this sword source can elevate the sword path to perfection, transcending the confines of existence. Merge. Boom. The sword intent within Ji Xian surged fervently, the sword source of the Divine King becoming ever more resplendent. As the aura of cultivation within the cycle ascended, the sword path transcended this world. Master, shall we return? I can hardly wait to see our new home. Moua climbed along Ji Xian's arm and perched upon his shoulder. Ji Xian shook his head and then gazed towards the depths of the Forbidden Zone. There is still one matter to attend to. Boom. Buzz. At that moment, a violent surge of power erupted from within the Taichu Forbidden Zone. The overwhelming aura of the ancient wilderness swept across the surroundings, causing even the Heavenly Emperor Palace to tremble. Xiao Fu's expression shifted dramatically as he screamed, "This is grave. The ancient emperors have returned." Chapter 165. Suppressing the ancient emperors deep within the Taichu Forbidden Zone, a fierce eruption of energy occurred. Dazzling radiance pierced through the darkness, and torrents of violent wind surged forth, cutting through the land like daggers, leaving trails across the mountains and plains. The Heavenly Emperor Palace shuddered under the onslaught of the gales, revealing faint signs of retreat. Crack, crack. Brilliant divine lights flickered around the palace's periphery as numerous celestial formations activated instantaneously, channeling supreme imperial might to suppress the emerging threat. These were the seals established by the ancient heavenly emperors for the ancient races. Ji Xianyuan, do you still believe you can restrain us? A voice boomed. Today, I shall re-emerge and cleanse your human race with blood. Cackling echoed, why waste words? Break free and be done with it. Various voices emerged, some deep and resonant, others sharp and piercing. Bang, bang. The chains of the great Tao, woven from the celestial formations, shattered one after another, leaving only a few remaining. The 4 deities, Fu, Lu, Shou, and Shi, leapt about in panic, thoroughly astonished. What shall we do, Xiao Fu? They are about to emerge, and we are all doomed. Woe is me. I lack the ability to cultivate and possess nothing but money. Xiao Lu lamented, conjuring a large quantity of high-grade spirit crystals. Woe is me as well. After 9 reincarnations spanning millions of years, I possess nothing but my good looks. Ji Xian stood within the imperial palace, his divine gaze revolving as he deciphered the grand formation left by the former celestial emperor. It turned out to be the 36th celestial array, yet after countless epochs, only 12 formations remained functional. No matter, it suffices. With this thought, he inscribed a decree from the emperor and escorted them to a safe location. Stay put here. I shall return shortly. Ji Xian transformed into a streak of light, soaring towards the depths of the Forbidden Zone. The 4 deities struggled to rise from the ground, wondering what their leader was up to. Was he truly going to confront the ancient emperors alone? Ling Yun inquired. Are the ancient emperors that formidable? Xiao Fu replied anxiously. More than formidable. If the former celestial emperor could have slain them, there would have been no need to seal them away with such effort. Huiling arose, her beautiful eyes glimmering with concern. Wasn't their master's journey perilous? The deities nodded, hoping their leader would remain unharmed. Ying Zheng patted the nearby dragon pattern cauldron, reassuring everyone. I understand the timing, comprehend human nature, and possess considerable knowledge. Our master's fate is strong. He will not fall easily, so do not worry. Only then did the group settle into silence. Meanwhile, Ji Xian had already reached the depths of the Taichu Forbidden Zone. The Divine Mountain, stretching for hundreds of thousands of miles, had been breached in several places. Powerful claws emerged, relentlessly striking against the already weakened seals. The massive claws, as tall as the mountains themselves, measured thousands of feet in width. Ji Xian, clad in white, stood before them, appearing as insignificant as a distant star. Boom! Bang! The colossal claws emitted a savage purple-black aura, striking the ancient divine mountain with such force that each blow could shatter a cliff. In an instant, rocks flew chaotically, and the flowing river was obstructed. Ji Xian extended his right hand and gently pressed forward, unleashing a gigantic golden palm imprint. The colossal claw seemed to sense something, its rough skin shimmering with a bronze glow. Subsequently, a metallic arm guard appeared, enveloping its body in protection. Boom! A palm imprint as wide as the mountain appeared atop it, causing the metallic arm guard to indent several feet deep. Who dares to be so audacious? A coarse voice resonated, tinged with anger. This was an obscure ancient tongue. Yet Ji Xian, perfected in the path of creation, immediately grasped the meaning. The one who will kill you. Upon uttering this, Ji Xian activated his indestructible golden body and unleashed a series of strikes. Clang, clang, crack. The metallic arm guard shattered into fragments upon withstanding the third strike. Following that, the remaining strikes fell upon the flesh of the colossal claw. Boom. The earth trembled continuously. The massive claw was battered to a pulp, its bones fractured into numerous pieces, presenting a scene of utter horror. A muffled cry emerged from the sealed creature within, prompting it to call upon its companion. Tiana, shatter this human. In an instant, two colossal tentacles surged forth from other openings, lunging menacingly towards Ji Xian. His form blurred, leaving only a fleeting shadow in its place. With a sudden piercing sound, the shadow was punctured, dissipating into wisps of azure smoke. How infuriating! Where could such a minuscule insect dare to toy with me? A feminine voice echoed, resentment manifesting as thick smoke billowing from the suckers of the tentacles. Suddenly, a crystalline sound of a sword echoed through the void, reminiscent of a thawing mountain spring, pleasant to the ear. The tumultuous dust was cleaved apart in an instant, the sword light as pure as clear water, devoid of any superfluous ripples. With a swift motion, the tentacles, as thick as ancient pines, were severed in twain, revealing smooth cross-sections that displayed the fleshy tissues within. Startled, the tentacles recoiled in haste. Ji Xian stood aloft in the heavens, surrounded by swirling yellow sand, yet untouched by any speck of dust. In his hand, he wielded a sword imbued with an ethereal aura, coldly surveying the two kings below, a mighty bear and an octopus. They were only able to move half of their bodies, the other half firmly pinned beneath the mountains. At that moment, two divine arrows shot forth from within the forbidden zone, their tails trailing luminous light for miles, resembling silver serpents with gaping maws. With a scoff, Ji Xian raised and swung his sword, cleaving the arrows asunder. He then summoned an imperial bow, drawing it into a crescent and returning fire. A chilling scream echoed once more, as another ancient emperor, just awakened, suffered an injury. The massive claw trembled, its flesh slowly regenerating, yet its size diminished by twofold. Human, what do you intend to do? Are you declaring war against the entire Taichu Forbidden Zone? Ji Xian replied nonchalantly, nothing much, merely wishing for you to rest a while longer. With that, the domain of creation unfurled in an instant, a series of imperial formations manifesting behind him. How dare you? The giant claw seemed to sense something, its fury escalating. Once sealed by the celestial emperor for several great epochs, now they faced another imprisonment. Ji Xian chuckled, fear not, I shall only seal you for a millennium. After 1,000 years, you may emerge at your leisure. The calamity of heaven and earth will persist for tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands, or even millions of years. I trust this millennium will be trivial for you. Upon finishing, the imperial formations rotated in concert, outlining chains of divine order, once again completing the sacred mountain. Human, do you possess the audacity to name the power backing you? After a millennium, I shall surely purge your sect. Ji Xian's eyes twinkled with cunning, and he retorted, come at me then. I shall await you in the Nether Mountain. Chapter 166, Task completed. Departure before the ancient divine mountain. Over a dozen grand formations formed a circular array, hovering above the mountain. Torrential lightning descended, striking directly upon the black giant claw. The master of the claw, having just formed a corporeal body, was once again devastated. Could it be that you managed to activate the grand formation alone this Sunday? The tone of the master of the giant claw was laced with astonishment. During that era, when they were sealed away, all the emperors from the 3,000 states had to unite their powers just to force it into the confines of the Forbidden Zone. Can this solitary figure from the white-clothed human clan accomplish such a feat? When did the Nether Mountain become so formidable? The master of the giant claw felt increasingly alarmed. Could it be that Emperor Fengdu is still alive? A chilling thought surfaced in his mind, causing beads of sweat to trickle down his forehead. After all, the figure from Nether Mountain was a transcendent being. It couldn't possibly be true that he had not perished, right? No, absolutely not. In the next moment, he dismissed this notion himself, deeming it too absurd. If Emperor Fengdu were alive, Emperor Xianyuan would undoubtedly still be among the living, and it would have been impossible for him to infiltrate this place. The ancient emperor shook his head, a torrent of thoughts flooding his mind. Alas, it seems that over the course of these tens of millions of years, Nether Mountain has developed to an inconceivable degree. This cannot be allowed. A great upheaval is imminent. Upon my return, I must convene an urgent meeting to designate Nether Mountain as a primary target for eradication. With this thought, he swiftly retracted his claw and bellowed outward. Nether Mountain, I shall remember your heinous acts. With Emperor Fengdu long deceased, no matter how far you have progressed, you shall never be a match for me, the primordial. After speaking, the giant claw vanished into the earth, disappearing at the edge of the ancient divine mountain. Ji Xian observed the receding figure, a cunning smile gracing his lips as he waved his hand, restoring the devastated terrain, before stepping into the void and vanishing from sight. On the other side, a chorus of disciples looked up, witnessing Ji Xian emerge from the shadows. Master, are you unharmed? Master, what happened to those ancient emperors? Were they injured? A flurry of concerned inquiries surrounded Ji Xian. He chuckled lightly, waving his hand dismissively. Those insignificant beings could not possibly harm me. Let us prepare to return to the sect. The heavy stone that had weighed upon the hearts of his disciples finally fell, and they cheered in unison. Woohoo! We're going home. The fearless divine chariot. Ji Xian uttered a command, summoning a magnificent white chariot. The chariot extended for several dozen feet, adorned with 5 rows of wheels on either side, constructed entirely from divine jade and celestial gold, radiating a pristine white. At the front, 8 golden Qilins stood side by side, their mere breath capable of summoning threads of thunderous energy. This was indeed the fearless divine chariot, an immortal treasure acquired through Gaji rewards, and its mere presence evoked a sense of sacred reverence in those who beheld it. Wow! The 4 auspicious beings rushed forward, captivated by the craftsmanship, materials, details, and carvings. Several of them clambered up and down, unable to contain their enthusiasm. All right, let us board the chariot. Ji Xian ascended first, with the remaining disciples following suit. Ling Yun, go and pull the chariot. Ling Yun, who was preparing to enter the chariot, wore a reluctant expression upon hearing Ji Xian's command. Huo Linger approached, tugging at Ji Xian's sleeve. Master, are you certain you want Ling Shidi to do this? Ji Xian raised an eyebrow, slightly perplexed. What could this imply? Does he not even know how to pull a chariot? Huo Linger shook her head, stating that was not the case. It was merely that he was unfamiliar with the route. During their time in the lower realm, she and her junior brother Ling had ventured into an underground secret realm, where they had been ensnared for over 3 years under his guidance. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian smiled lightly, assuring that it was of no consequence. The interior of the carriage was vast, resembling a world unto itself, with endless azure fields, undulating mountains, and rushing rivers. After settling certain matters, Ji Xian stepped into the mountains, seeking a tranquil spot. The verdant surroundings were serene, filled with the continuous chirping of birds. A waterfall cascaded down, splashing against the surface of the water. He seated himself upon a rocky outcrop halfway up the mountain, descending into silence. System, transmit a fragment of my consciousness back to the sect. Understood. With a flicker of dazzling light, a wisp of Ji Xian's awareness instantaneously manifested in the Xiantian Dao sect. He soared into the heavens, surveying the entirety of the wasteland. Previously, he had received notifications from the system regarding the offensive from Ming Mountain. However, Ji Xian paid it little mind, for the presence of 2 divine beasts within the sect alleviated his concerns. The army of Ming Mountain had already overrun the majority of the sects, with all cities having fallen. Aside from Jinyan Mountain, which remained peaceful and serene, the rest of the lands were engulfed in flames of war, strewn with fallen bodies. Yet, Ji Xian had no intention of intervening. He planned to establish the Heavenly Court in the near future, elevating the Xiantian Dao sect to prominence across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The actions of Ming Mountain inadvertently assisted him in clearing the underbrush around him. Suddenly, he noticed something. On a small hillside at the periphery of Jinyan Mountain, a small troop was stealthily ascending. A cold smile crept upon Ji Xian's lips. Knowing this to be the former domain of the Sword Emperor, they still dare to intrude? He raised his gaze to the heavens, sending a message to the celestial city in the clouds. You too. It's time to get to work. After a long pause, there was no response. Meanwhile, 2 white jade Qilins were deeply asleep. They lay on a snow-capped mountain within the celestial city, wrapped in thick blankets, immersed in dreams, their expressions appearing quite content, perhaps influenced by Ji Xian. The 2 divine beasts had advanced from the quasi-emperor realm to the emperor realm. Suddenly, the male Qilin seemed to sense something, awakening from its slumber and gently nudging the female Qilin, inquiring, roar? Snore, snore, snore. The female Qilin blinked her sleepy eyes, shaking her head. Roar. Snore, snore, snore. It seemed she was saying, I heard nothing. Do not disturb my sleep. This small interlude lasted but a few breaths before the two divine beasts returned to their slumber. Ji Xian observed the entire scene with keen eyes. A vein throbbed on his forehead as he brought up the system panel. Look at what you've spawned. Two useless creatures. Is it my fault? That group of weaklings lacks the qualifications to even provoke a response from the celestial grade formation. Were a true emperor to arrive, it might have moved symbolically. TCH. Ji Xian closed the system panel and descended halfway down the mountain. Who are you? Demanded the leader of the knights, brandishing a spear with a fierce tone. I am the emperor, the Xian emperor, the master of this place. Ji Xian replied indifferently. Upon hearing this, the cultivators in the group erupted into laughter. Ha! Captain, did you hear that? He claims to be Ha. Ji Xian shook his head and calmly replied. To encounter the emperor and not pay homage is to have lost one's true destiny. Let them all perish. Bang. The overwhelming might of the emperor surged forth, instantly transforming the towering cliffs where the small team stood into a misty powder. With a mere thought, he entered the inner sanctum of the celestial city. Before him lay a vast azure river, its waters flowing with varying intensity, shrouded in thick celestial mist, even forming liquid that dripped from the rocks on both banks. Ji Xian soared to the center of the river, lightly touching the surface with his toes, and proclaimed, River God. Emerge. Chapter 167. Delivering the bell on the surface of the expansive river, mist billowed like clouds, and the horizon stretched endlessly, dotted with countless islands that shimmered with vibrant colors, resembling a scattering of stars. With Ji Xian's call, the tranquil waters began to ripple, the intensity of the currents escalating, gradually coalescing into a profound whirlpool. Suddenly, a young man clad in blue emerged from the whirlpool, floating serenely atop the water. His eyes were gently closed, and a warm, benevolent smile adorned his face. I have met the master. Indeed, Ji Xian nodded, then continued. There is a task I wish to entrust to you. Please, master. Speak. Deliver a bell to the ancient Ji family. Upon hearing this, the river god's eyes brightened, as if a hidden trigger had been activated, and his spirit surged with newfound vigor. With a splash, two bells, one gold and one silver, soared out from the whirlpool. The river god wore a warm smile, his blue attire billowing without wind. Dear master, do you wish to send this golden bell or the silver one? Ji Xian. An awkward silence lingered for several moments. Noticing Ji Xian's disdainful gaze, the river god hastily tossed both bells back into the river, feigning a cough with an apologetic expression. Ahem, my apologies, my apologies. It's my first day on the job, and I haven't shaken off my old habits. Please, continue, master. Ji Xian retrieved a jade green bell from the void, the very one belonging to Ji Wuwang. Deliver this bell to the Ji family, accompanied by a decree from this emperor. As he spoke, a scroll of white silk floated from the air, unfurling like a painting, and hovered before Ji Xian. His lips moved slightly, and golden characters began to materialize upon its surface. This emperor, the Xian emperor, hereby informs the Ji family. Ji Wuwang's fate has reached its end, having perished in the primordial forbidden zone. This emperor dispatches a deity to return the imperial weapon and deliver the bell to the Ji family. A decade has passed. This emperor is greatly concerned for the two young ones, Yuan Zhong and Ming Hao, and hopes they will be well cared for. One day, this emperor shall personally visit to take them. With that, the golden characters, imbued with supreme imperial might, radiated with a myriad of divine colors. Once the imperial script was inscribed, the scroll seemed to come to life, soaring gracefully, gathering itself, and landing in Ji Xian's hand. The river god stood in stunned silence, recalling Ji Xian's words. Though he did not comprehend the significance of the Ji family, the tone of his master suggested a deep-seated animosity and contention toward them. First, I must attend to the funeral of the Ji family, and then personally venture to seize individuals from there. It seems I have gleaned the master's sentiments towards the Ji clan. The river god maintained a facade of mirth, yet the aura he exuded grew increasingly sinister. What are you grinning about? Suddenly, Ji Xian's words shattered his reverie. The river god scratched the back of his head and awkwardly chuckled. Nothing. I merely find the master's calligraphy quite admirable. Ji Xian shot him a disdainful glance. Flatterer, hurry along. The map of the 3,000 states has just been transmitted to you. Understood. I shall take my leave now. The river god accepted the edict, bowing 3 times before gradually sinking into the depths of the water. Hey, why are you going back again? Ji Xian observed him with a smirk. Bubbles surfaced as the river god emerged, smiling. Master, you may be unaware. All rivers fall under my jurisdiction, regardless of how distant the Ji family may be. As long as there is water nearby, I can arrive in the blink of an eye. Ji Xian nodded, and a thought flickered in his mind. If it is that convenient, then you may as well eradicate the Yinyang Holy Land along the way. Certainly, within the indomitable divine chariot. Ji Xian had already awakened and was preparing to depart. He glanced downward at the stones beneath him and the serene surroundings. Well, since I am here, I might as well attempt a breakthrough. With a gentle flick of his fingertip, a sphere imbued with the essence of celestial principles coalesced above. This represented the true intent among the imperial stars of creation, an artifact of the celestial realm. Ji Xian flawlessly replicated it and bestowed this treasure upon Mo Yue. Buzz. Buzz, buzz. The atmosphere within the Wheel of Sea stirred violently, and Ji Xian immediately immersed himself in a state of enlightenment to achieve a breakthrough. Over a month later, he quelled the tumultuous energies within his body, solidifying his realm. Currently, the paths of fire, sword, and creation had all reached perfection. Yet the realms of space and chaos remained unaccomplished. Just 2 more steps, and he could ascend to the lawform realm. As the leaves danced gently in the forest, Ji Xian emerged from the secret place. After traversing numerous mountains, he arrived at the entrance of the chariot and inquired of the waiting Huolinger, "Where have we reached?" Huolinger wore a countenance of bitterness, seemingly at a loss for words. "What is the matter?" Ji Xian asked. "Master, we have been wandering for over a month and seem to have returned to the same spot," she stammered. Ji Xian furrowed his brow, exiting the confines of the chariot. Upon stepping outside, he saw Ling Yun with wide eyes, fervently fiddling with the map. "Hey, something's amiss. We were clearly following the route." Ji Xian seized the map, corrected its orientation, and handed it back to Ling Yun. "Take another look. You were just viewing the reverse side." "Oh, now it makes sense," Ling Yun exclaimed, her excitement palpable. "I wondered how we could have circled back. It was the backside I was examining." "Master, you are truly remarkable." Sighing softly, Ji Xian lamented. "There is not a single one who eases my worries. Perhaps I should summon Aotian." He retrieved the primordial heaven mirror, shaking it vigorously in his hand. With a flash, the mirror shimmered, and Mo Yuling, Aotian, and Sun Huang tumbled out simultaneously, landing with a thud on the chariot. "Ouch, you've scattered my tokens." Upon the faces of several individuals, white paper strips dangled down like strands of noodles. Among them, Mo Yuling had the most affixed to her visage, followed closely by Sun Huang, while Aotian bore merely 1 or 2. A disarray of cards lay scattered across the ground, in a chaotic heap. Upon observing this scene, Ji Xian instantly discerned the activities of the group. With an indifferent tone, he inquired, who took the lead. Sun Huang and Aotian swiftly peeled off the paper strips from their faces and, with unspoken understanding, pointed in unison at Mo Yuling. "Junior brothers, one ought not to behave in such a manner," Ji Xian admonished. The duo exchanged glances before responding earnestly. "Sister, you misunderstand. We are not human to begin with." As they spoke, Ji Xian had already approached Mo Yuling from behind. A chilling sensation surged from her heels to the crown of her head. Upon sensing Ji Xian's gaze, steeped in lethal intent, Mo Yuling's composure faltered, prompting her to hastily explain, "Master, please allow me to clarify. Recently, I came across a book and learned a new term, the balance of work and leisure. I believe that while cultivating, one may indulge in proper entertainment. I have indeed devoted myself to my training these past 2 years. Just look at my cultivation." Her face flushed crimson, and holy energy emanated from her pores and features. Nearly reaching the mid-stage of the Saint Realm, albeit just shy of the mark, Ji Xian chose not to utter further words, instead lifting her with one hand. "Master, please, let me make my case." "No, hear me out. I have other excuses. Ugh, I mean reasons." A resounding slap echoed, followed by a chorus of laughter from the other disciples. The atmosphere was lively and harmonious as the entire group had gathered. Yet, on the periphery of the Forbidden Zone, bloodshed had ensued. Across the vast expanse of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, the downfall of Ji Wuwang had triggered a cascade of repercussions, heralding a monumental storm on the horizon. Chapter 168. The Xian Emperor. The fearless divine chariot transformed into a radiant arc as it departed from the depths of the Taichu Forbidden Zone. Before leaving, Ji Xian casually collected the Heavenly Emperor Palace. As for the Xianyuan sword, he had no intention of taking it with him. Endowed with the indomitable sword source, once Ji Xian's sword intent was unleashed, it would endure through the ages. Without his consent, no one could extinguish it, not even an immortal. The body of the great emperor would remain eternally undying. The head of Ji Wuwang would be forever impaled in the earth, serving as a stark warning to the world. Whether one be a paragon of ancient or modern times, or a resounding great emperor, opposing the Xian emperor would only lead to a singular fate. The ancient clans and eternal holy lands were no exception. The fearless divine chariot traveled at remarkable speed, reaching the outskirts of the Forbidden Zone in mere days. At the edge of the Taichu Forbidden Zone, ancient clans flourished, treasures littered the ground, and several elixirs of immortality could be found. Presently, Ji Xian was seated upon a stone peak within the chariot, his divine gaze penetrating the void. In the distance, he observed a throng of cultivators engaged in fierce combat over the Fusa divine tree, among whom were formidable ancient beings. Surrounding the Fusa tree, corpses had accumulated into small hills, most of which had begun to decay or had turned into desiccated remains. The Fusa divine tree towered to the heavens, its roots alone exceeding the heights of many great mountains. At this moment, all the tree roots were submerged in a lake formed by congealed blood. It is difficult to fathom how many cultivators have perished here over the years in pursuit of the elixir of immortality. Ji Xian gently raised his right hand, fingers curling slightly. Instantly, a powerful suction was generated, air currents surged, and a purple vortex began to form. The two sacred Fusang trees, which had remained unmoved through years of warfare, began to shake violently. In the next moment, the ground cracked, and the Fusang trees were uprooted, soaring directly toward the fearless divine chariot. In an instant, rocks tumbled from the heavens like meteors, perilous and unforgiving. Many cultivators were unable to evade, crushed into a bloody pulp by the massive stones. The sudden upheaval stunned everyone. The Fusang trees were fleeing. Quickly pursue them. Over there. Upon hearing this, all the cultivators changed direction, chasing after the escaping Fusang trees. They gazed at the white divine chariot with great indignation. Who are you to openly seize the Fusang trees? Return them at once. The great sects have fought for years without a clear victor. Do not let them escape. Aotian stood at the chariot's yoke, holding the reins, his golden hair dancing wildly, coldly regarding the cultivators from various holy lands. You petty thieves, opportunities should be seized based on strength. If you lack power, do not show your faces, clear the path. At that moment, an old monk emerged, holding a golden bowl. His skin was withered and wrinkled, emanating an aura of death. Yet a faint imperial might lingered around him. Young friend, please return the elixir plant. The outcome has yet to be decided, and it belongs to all of our great sects collectively. Meanwhile, an elderly Taoist stepped forward, clasping a treasure seal, his hair and beard completely white. How dare a little rascal of the Holy Master realm boast in front of the Holy Lands? You are unworthy. Summon your elders to return the Fusang trees. If you refuse, you shall meet your end here today. As the two figures emerged, the gathered cultivators retreated several miles, murmuring among themselves. Heaven above. It is truly two quasi-emperors. How did we not notice them near the Fusang trees? Such unparalleled powerhouses would not act lightly. I, the old monk, did see them. That Taoist is likely a newcomer. Alas, with their appearance, what are we even fighting for regarding the elixir of immortality? Upon hearing this, Aotian bellowed, all of you, get lost. If you disturb my lord's enjoyment today, I shall devour you whole, all of you. The old Taoist chuckled ominously. The poor path has suddenly changed his mind. I shall flay this little demon and refine him into an elixir. In the midst of their conversation, both quasi-emperors closed in, an overwhelming pressure enveloping the air. The old Taoist struck first, conjuring a colossal hand that reached forward. This chariot frame is quite impressive. It now belongs to me. Seeking death, Aotian brandished a golden spear, his dragon aura surging, fearless as he pointed at the assembled heroes. He then jabbed the spearhead into the rear of the nearest Qilin. Old 8, it's your turn. The golden Qilin, stung by the jab, turned back to cast a resentful glance at Aotian. Then it opened its cavernous mouth, unleashing a torrent of lightning that surged forward. The myriad bolts of lightning collided violently with the enormous handprint, illuminating the space with flashing electric light, the sound of destruction resonating continuously. As the very fabric of space trembled like a quivering scroll, thunderous roars echoed throughout. The thunder roared with an unstoppable momentum, shattering the palm imprint into fragments. Could the beast pulling the cart be a quasi-emperor? How could that be possible? The old Taoist's expression shifted dramatically in that fleeting moment. He felt the overwhelming presence of the golden divine beast. He then tilted his head to peer into the cart's interior. Suddenly, a sound akin to an explosion echoed, followed by two sprays of blood that soared several feet into the air. Immediately, the anguished screams of the old Taoist pierced the air. My eyes. Suspended in midair. His body plummeted to the ground, rolling frantically in the sand. He attempted to use ancient Taoist techniques to mend his injuries, but all efforts were in vain. Witnessing the old man's tragic state, the cultivators behind him were seized with horror, instantly abandoning any thoughts of probing the cart with their spiritual consciousness. What could have befallen the venerable Taoist? He is a quasi-emperor, after all. It is said that a century ago, he debated with the headmaster of the Tao Yi sacred land and attained the martial Tao heavenly eye. How could such a calamity befall him so suddenly? Meanwhile, the old monk's hair stood on end, holding his breath, afraid to exhale. At that very moment, an ominous shadow of death enveloped him, prompting him to employ his Buddhist thoughts to calculate the outcome. The probability of victory and survival was shockingly determined to be 0. You two possess remarkable courage, came Ji Xian's chilling voice from within the cart. In an instant, a blurred figure clad in white materialized in the void, transitioning from ethereal to corporeal. An emperor? The old monk, acutely sensing the aura of the figure in white, was left speechless. Could the rumors of an emperor's presence within the Forbidden Zone be true? Previously, whenever cultivators who emerged from the ancient mine spoke of an emperor or rumors of an emperor's demise circulated, he dismissed such tales as absurd. After all, the current emperors were nearing the end of their lifespans, entombed within their dragonwood coffins for preservation. It had been several 100,000 years since the fall of the last emperor, who had perished from natural causes. As for an emperor dying in battle, that was even more implausible. With no immortals left in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, who could possibly slay an emperor? Thus, he entered this mine with an invincible mentality, seeking opportunities and chances to comprehend the path to enlightenment. Little did he expect to encounter a living emperor before him. and one who appeared remarkably youthful. Ji Xian's indifferent voice resounded. You do not bow before this emperor? Crack. The old monk, slow to react, felt his lower limbs fracture entirely, as if erased by the great Tao. He gritted his teeth, enduring the agony. This humble monk pays his respects to the emperor. I beseech the emperor to spare my life. His voice trembled, having reached the pinnacle of terror, blood oozing from his heart. After 200,000 years of cultivating a pure Buddhist heart, he had thought it untouched by sin, yet today, merely sensing a wisp of the emperor's aura shattered it completely. On the other side, the old Taoist struggled for an extended period, nearly exhausted, with no strength left to rise. Boom. With a resounding crash, he transformed into a pool of thick blood. The cultivators behind him had long succumbed to fear, burying their heads in the earth. The venerable Taoist Tianyi has fallen, revealing himself to be a true emperor. Contemplating the emperor's sacred relics, a flicker of hope ignited within us. Ji Xian pondered for a moment and mused. It is time to emerge. He stowed away the fearless divine chariot and ascended towards the heavens. Clad in white, he stood upon the clouds, surveying the vast expanse of the Taichu Forbidden Zone, and proclaimed, I, the Emperor, master of the Xiantian Dao sect, Xian Emperor, hereby declare my path within the Taichu Forbidden Zone. Today, let it be known to all cultivators. Those who dare to obstruct my way shall face merciless annihilation. As his words resonated, a magnificent aura of imperial might surged forth like a tidal wave, enveloping much of the Taichu Forbidden Zone. The cultivators shrouded in this imperial might could not help but kneel, bowing in reverence. The divine sound echoed profoundly, striking at the very souls of each individual, a force that extinguished any thought of resistance. For countless millennia, the emperor had remained absent from the world, and people had long forgotten the magnitude of such an existence. Yet now, Ji Xian's imperial presence was indelibly etched in their hearts. Suddenly, a golden palm imprint descended from the heavens, obliterating all cultivators within the vicinity of the Fusang divine tree into mere ashes. Countless mountains vanished from the surface, leaving behind only a colossal palm mark. Moments later, the figure in the sky vanished. The kneeling cultivators collapsed to the ground, their clothes soaked in sweat. Despite having wronged him not, a sense of relief washed over them as if they had narrowly escaped calamity. Ji Xian retrieved the fearless divine chariot once more and hastened towards the direction of Huangzhou. Chapter 169. The mighty arise in the 3,000 states, within the Jian state, amidst the mountains shrouded in purple mist and vibrant clouds. An imposing pavilion stood in the depths of the mountains, ancient and formidable. The Jian Pavilion is a powerful eternal faction presided over by an emperor. It is said that its master was the foremost disciple of the former Sword Emperor, who, 1,000,000 years ago, received a portion of the Sword Emperor's legacy and achieved the status of emperor. Within the pavilion, Dugu Yun, clad in black with hair and beard entirely white, sat high upon a crimson dragonwood chair, gazing down upon the elders and disciples below. Is what you speak true? His voice was laced with a chilling intent. The deputy pavilion master responded with a trembling voice, Master, every word is true. The master of the Xiantian Dao sect has slain over 10 of our esteemed cultivators at the Ji family, and several of their formidable experts have also been cut down. Dugu Yun nodded thoughtfully. Xiantian Dao sect? I have not heard of it before. It appears that while I have slumbered these years, some petty individuals have taken the opportunity to stir trouble. He rose, his aged frame slightly hunched, and descended. You shall promptly announce to the outside world that the Jian Pavilion is emerging. Upon hearing this, the kneeling elders turned crimson, their breaths quickening with exhilaration. The Jian Pavilion, which had remained silent for hundreds of thousands of years, was finally to make its presence known. Dugu Yun swept past the crowd and stood at the entrance of the pavilion, turning his back to them and stating, Furthermore, I have just awakened, and my aura remains unstable. I cannot act for the time being. You are to send people to closely monitor the Xiantian Dao sect, and upon encountering their disciples, eliminate them all. For the foreseeable future, aside from the offerings of vital blood, do not disturb me. The vice master hastily approached, presenting treasures bestowed by the sacred lands, such as Lingjian Mountain and Feihong Gate. You may count them yourselves, Dugu Yun remarked, casting a fleeting glance at the storage ring in the vice master's hand before vanishing from sight. In the ensuing period, all disciples of the Sword Pavilion gathered in anticipation of a significant event. A month later, the Sword Pavilion opened its gates to declare the awakening of the Emperor Dugu, marking a momentous return. The news sent shockwaves throughout the realm. The Sword Pavilion, historically shrouded in mystery and silence for hundreds of thousands of years, could have easily faded from memory if not for the occasional references made by elder cultivators. However, the announcement of an emperor's awakening and the subsequent opening of the gates thrust the name of the Sword Pavilion into the limelight. In the collective consciousness, an emperor represents the pinnacle of strength across the heavens and the earth. Each emperor's emergence has the power to define an era. Dugu Yun, once the foremost disciple of the Sword Emperor, possessed extraordinary mastery in the sword arts. His admirers often compared him to the Sword Emperor, a notion that, despite facing considerable dissent, remained unchallenged in terms of Dugu Yun's existence, strength, and status. As people marveled at the developments, 2 months later, two prominent forces across the 3,000 states announced the awakening of their own emperors. The astonishment was universal, as luminaries and sovereigns from different epochs simultaneously returned to the world. This phenomenon sparked discussions among cultivators regarding the frequent emergence of emperors. Ultimately, all attention converged upon a forbidden zone known as the Taichu Ancient Mine. Legend had it that several months prior, a cataclysmic battle of emperors had transpired there, leading to the fall of one such emperor. Speculations arose that the Taichu Forbidden Zone harbored the legacy of the ancient immortal court, possibly containing celestial herbs that prompted fierce conflicts among the emperors. Amidst the discourse, the topic shifted to the Ji family, with rumors circulating that the fallen emperor was an ancient ancestor of theirs. This revelation incited a frenzy among cultivators, prompting many to rush to the Ji family's sacred city, demanding an explanation. After all, the news was too shocking. In all the realms, emperors were known to perish of old age, not in battle. Facing mounting public pressure, the Ji family ultimately provided a response. They confirmed the loss of an ancient ancestor, yet insisted that he did not fall by another's hand, but rather succumbed to the restraints of ancient prohibitions. They claimed that the ancestor had single-handedly suppressed several ancient emperors. To safeguard humanity, he had risked his life, using all his vital energy to reinforce the 36 heavenly arrays seal, thereby imprisoning the ancient emperors once more. Upon hearing this, the entire human race observed a moment of silence and mourning. The Ji family's legacy of fighting for humanity was well known and universally accepted without question. When this news reached Ji Xian, he merely smiled enigmatically, choosing not to engage further. Master, the Ji family is utterly shameless. The ancient emperors were clearly sealed by you. Fire Spirit stomped her foot in anger, her frustration palpable. Were it not for her limited strength, her fiery temperament would have compelled her to confront the Ji family directly. Sun Huang, in a state of agitation, his fiery red hair resembling flames, was on the verge of storming forth with an iron rod had it not been for Ao Tian's restraint. Ji Xian, seeking to soothe the others, gestured for them to remain calm, assuring them that he had made arrangements regarding the matters of the Ji family. Days later, discordant voices arose once more, this time regarding the Ji family's sacred banquet, bringing to light the deeds of the protagonist, Ji Xian. Numerous masters had been slain, and the Purple Star holy city had been shattered. These disgraceful events were once again unveiled. The Ji family, incensed, could no longer tolerate the situation. Recognizing that there were forces clandestinely inciting discord against them, they boldly proclaimed that due to the ancient ancestor's slumber, that wildling had momentarily overstepped. However, once the family's profound heritage resurfaced, they would swiftly obliterate the Xuantiando sect. This declaration left many in astonishment. During this period, the emperor of the Xuandi had caused quite the stir, his impact on the world rivaling that of previous emperors. The Ji family's audacity to threaten the annihilation of an eternal-level sect inevitably led to speculation that they too must have awakened not just one, but multiple emperors. Seated in his returning carriage, Ji Xian toyed with the primordial purple gold gourd, bemused by their audacity. Upon hearing the news, he was taken aback. Had the slaying of Ji Wuang not inflicted enough pain upon them? He transmitted a message to the river god, urging him to act swiftly, ideally leaving the Ji family in a state of near ruin. At that moment, the river god lingered in a waterway within the Ji family's domain, blowing bubbles from his mouth. Gurgle, gurgle, master, gurgle, gurgle, no problem. In just a few days, I'll gurgle, gurgle, make my move. Little deity will prepare accordingly, gurgle, gurgle. I promise to deliver something spectacular. With that, he resumed dismantling the Ji family's protective grand formation. Meanwhile, the Ji family's sacred city was abuzz with activity. Previous rumors from cultivators suggested that more than one emperor had awakened within the Ji family, prompting various smaller factions to seek their allegiance, eager to bask in the presence of greatness. For them, this was a necessary course of action. The tide was turning, and with emperors emerging, their small factions risked annihilation if they failed to align themselves with a formidable power. The Ji family welcomed these factions with open arms, promising to host a banquet in a month's time and to open certain regions for the various sects to settle. As the grand feast approached, excitement filled the air. With all sects in attendance, the Ji family was enveloped in a jubilant atmosphere. The river god, having thoroughly unraveled the Ji family's grand array, slowly floated to the surface, his sinister laughter echoing as he reveled in the chaos he was about to unleash. How lively it is! To offend my master, you all shall meet your demise. Chapter 170. The Great Disturbance at the Ji family in the Rainbow Sun Sacred City. The Ji family was hosting a banquet today to welcome the allegiance of various factions. The entire city was adorned with lights and decorations. The streets and alleys of the city were bustling with cultivators, all eager to witness this grand spectacle. The Ji River, a vast waterway traversing numerous states, belonged solely to the Ji family. Within the sacred city, 2 Ji family disciples were by the riverside, preparing the items for the banquet. I truly cannot comprehend why we would accept those inferior sects from outside. Isn't that merely inviting trouble for our Ji family? A disciple posed a question, sighing deeply. Another companion lamented. When urged to read more, You choose to tend to pigs instead. Surely, what we can contemplate, our ancestors could not. At this juncture, he glanced around to ensure no one was listening, then leaned closer to the inquirer's ear. In my opinion, a great calamity is imminent, and many will surely perish. There exists a force known as the power of measure, linked to our family's fortune. Such a force cannot manifest without death. Thus, it follows that these newcomers are merely fodder. The questioner gasped in astonishment, exclaiming, "Isn't this akin to the sinister practices of sacrificial cults?" The other replied, "What are you comparing? It's entirely different. Cults engage in voluntary sacrifices. We are merely aligning ourselves with the